physical. It's time to talk some this and more. We gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, books, Blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see a laser disc today. So let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is the media house dream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does that.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! We're the
You can never have enough physical media.
Please clap. Please. I don't know what that is, but that doesn't sound like clapping.
Oh, yes, brilliant, brilliant. Your eyes do not deceive you, everybody. I am back. I'm here.
Oh, I was supposed to clap?
I know that you guys missed me most of all for everything. So, yeah, you give a round of applause for the rookie critic. He's back. You're welcome. You're welcome. This should be great.
I think I got hot takes on X. Holy shit.
But hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene. With me tonight, as always, is Rookie and Tom. And yes, Rookie is back in the saddle, I guess you could say.
Back in the saddle again.
Yep.
Back in the saddle again.
But I hope you guys are ready for some physical media tonight and a good show, and we'll have some fun tonight.
It's
and,
not just a theme song.
It's not just it's not
The beginning of the October.
Yes,
movies and stuff.
You probably will see a couple scary movies because I'm already moving into that. So
nice.
Not that I don't actually watch them all the time, anyways. But
yeah, just another day. Yeah.
I watch more in October. But I'm gonna go ahead and say hi to the chat. We got Random Brad. What is up, Random Brad? Sorry. Glad to have you with us as always. And hail to you, FKHC 2005. Glad to have you with us. And Ace Handler says, time to watch some indie. Yes, that video actually really took off for me. I'm very happy of that. But sometimes I don't think people actually watch the whole video, which I know they don't because they didn't actually watch what I was saying. But hey, it gained me a lot of new subscribers and did really, really well. So I'm happy for it. Hi, Heather Preston. How are you today? And hail to you, Brian Barth. Glad to have you with us as always. Hail to you, Style Section. Glad to have you with us. Salute, Steven. Deleted Scenes. What is up, my friend? Howdy, Doba Fett. Glad to see you in the chat. What's up, Cowabunga dude? Glad to see you there. And yes, don't forget, like, share, subscribe to everybody. Dragonzilla says, hell, sad we're not getting Critters 1 and 2 in 4K, but at least we're getting Demolition Man in 4K. Yes, I'm happy to get Demolition Man in 4K. Kind of sucks that Arrow is basically just re-releasing the Critter set, but just in UK. It would have been nice for a 4K set, but I think we learned from the Shout, like Tom said, that they weren't in the best condition, the original film.
1 and 2 look fine.
Yeah, 1 and 2 look great.
No, they didn't bother doing anything with them. That's the problem. The first 2 movies got new scans, but the only thing that this Arrow set has that the Shout one didn't is they have the 5.1 mix on 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I heard they got a couple new commentaries, but it's not by anybody making the movie.
No, I'm not gonna sink that kind of money into people.
For something like
no.
Yeah. I don't blame you. So
maybe if it was you or I, Greg, then I would. But
yes, if anybody is listening, I'm free to do commentary.
I've actually talked to people involved with the movie.
Yes, I've talked to a few people involved with some movies, not Critters, but some movies.
Well, Robert Shea, and he told me firsthand the Critter story.
Yep.
I mean, most people know it, but
yes.
Where he said, we got to reshoot the ending.
But welcome, and there you guys go. Yeah, I'd go for the Demolition Man. I wouldn't really spend money on the Critters unless you didn't get the Shout one. But it is a UK only, so you'd need a region-free player for that one. But hello, Corley and Rogue. Glad to have you with us. And good evening and live long and prosper, Tyrell72.
And considering how cheap you get the Critters set now from Shout, it's not really worth spending the extra. Unless you really like that gaudy fucking artwork.
Yeah, I like the original class. I'm cool with that. I only spent like $25 on my Critter set anyways when it was fairly new still. So hello, RJ Godzilla 81. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Time for the annual revisiting of our favorite genre, horror. Yes, and you'll probably more than likely see a bunch of repeats in October like you always do, because let's be honest here. We all have our favorite horror movies we like to watch in October.
Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. We talked like the Halloween movies for like the last 3 years. So we all have our favorite horror movies we watch in October repeatedly.
One is bound to pop up at some point. Just deal with it.
More than likely, you're going to see Halloween 3 because that's one I haven't gotten to last year.
And
so
I watch that like every year.
I didn't get to it last year, so I'll probably get to it again this year. So yeah.
And honestly, I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, this is going to get you nailed music wise, so I can probably do my own version of it. But
that's okay.
If you play it, this is me. This is us every October. We're like, that kid's just getting into it.
I love it.
And that's the stab is what gets me.
That reminds me of my boy, man. He would do that. He would do that.
That's what he's listening to is the actual theme.
Yeah.
He's just getting down in the Crocs. The Crocs kill me.
Well, he can't go barefoot now, can he?
No, but it's just like Lil Michael. Like if this come up to your door, I'm like, kid, here, take all the fucking candy.
Wait right here. I'm gonna go in the back and grab one of the full size candy bars.
Yeah. In fact, you're getting the special shit, kid. You just wait right here.
Just right here.
And then I'm telling the parent the whole time, you did that shit right. You raised that kid right.
Yes, I love it. I love it. That's great. And what's up, Vinobite? Hell to you. Glad to have you with us this evening. Yeah, we do need to have been listening, man. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. What's up, Anthony Draven? Hell to you, and welcome to the chat. Let's see, Stephen Luther. What's up, my friend? Glad to have you with us. And I think we're all caught up there. Yeah, that's great. I love that. That was great. All right.
It's even better with the music. Like,
yeah,
it's adorable and scary at the same time.
It's like, oh, this
now I want a Baby Michael series. Like,
to like the Muppet Babies, but with the Muppet slashers, baby slashers, like a Baby Michael, Baby Jason, Baby Michael's
Freddy.
Baby Freddy. That'd be hilarious. Like Baby Michael's always picking on Baby Jason.
But
like
you can't hear what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope. Very strong.
Jason just sits there and looks sad.
They're all just telepaths, man. We just can't hear them.
Well, I actually was worked on before I was on the Midnight's Edge. I actually worked on a really crappy animated show where basically it was about a group of serial killers. This, the movie people, and they're in a group.
Yeah.
And like they keep asking Michael if he has anything to say, and he just goes. And Jason, who I actually had talk and had a voice, and you'll probably recognize kind of the inspiration for the voice, but he's like, well, I don't understand his language.
Bobcat?
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm Jason, and like, this is what I do. I hack people up. Hello.
I want to see Bobcat Goldthwait dub over all the Jason movies. That would be
I told
great.
you stop running, but you keep doing it.
You got to do that now. You got to do that now. Go through scenes of the actual Jason movies. Do the Bobcat.
Why do they do this?
This
do
is what
it,
he would do. Like when he throws it up in the air, the bottle would part six up in the air, and he catches it. He's like, "Hey man, you dropped your bottle."
Get back here! I'm just trying to help. Oh shit!
I mean, honestly, he's basically
Bro.
just Shrek. He just wants people out of his lake. Just get out of my swamp.
Get out of my
Why
life.
did you slip and fall in my? You got blood all over my machete.
You left your
God.
gun behind. What? Come on.
He's-
My mom's gonna be mad.
I come home with blood on me again.
Such a mama's boy. Hey, shut up!
You're talking about my mama.
At least my mom wasn't with a bunch of dudes.
I gotta kill you now.
I'm gonna kill you now.
That would be great. That would be great.
That was because Jason and him were also roommates. Freddy and Jason. And Jason kept dragging home kittens because he has this thing for motherless kittens. And of course, Dr. Lecter is their doctor.
Oh, I get it.
And he figures out that Jason's addiction for bringing home little motherless kittens is his loss for his own mother.
That'd be great.
So they always have like a little break. You know, that was kind of the joke.
Yeah.
You had Pinhead and, you know, all of them were there, you know. And then you had Bubba. Can I eat your face? This
Rook
guy
said-
smells like bacon.
Rook said who? You don't know who it is. It's Leatherface.
I'm Bubba Sawyer.
No.
So on some barbecue now.
Mm-hmm. This guy's already cooked. Hey, I don't like him. He's prickly.
I got confused when people would say Leatherface and then separately say Texas Chainsaw, and I didn't know those were the same thing for a long time.
And then they call him Bubba anyway. That's his nickname.
Yeah, they call him Bubba.
Oh.
Yeah.
God damn it, Bubba! Now you fucked up my Sonny Bono wig.
It's an Adam Sandler movie.
No, that's Texas Chainsaw Part 2.
I know.
That's Texas Chainsaw too, man.
I can see Adam Sandler being in this based on your voices, so I don't know.
Well, you know, supposedly, I guess Michael Keaton based Beetlejuice on Jesus, I just forgot his name from Texas Chainsaw 2.
Chop Top.
Chopper. Or Chop Top, yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that a lot. That's great. All right. Well, let's get into what we got coming real quick, and then we'll start showing off our
Yeah, we
titles.
actually got a few announcements this week.
Ooh.
Yes, sir.
If you want to kick it off.
Yeah. You want me to go over the Shout Factory ones?
Yeah, you can go over Shaft Factory.
Yeah,
The
you always
Shit
do the
Factory.
best.
I gave a
first.
new name, Shaft Factory, because they always
Shaft.
give you the shaft.
That they do. Let me.
We give
bring
you
them
all
up
the
real quick.
movies everybody else does, only at twice the price.
Yeah, they're getting ridiculous. So we got from Shaft Factory, Silent Night, Deadly Night on 4K coming.
Just the theatrical cut.
Just the theatrical cut, yes, coming on December 10th. You get Riddick on 4K from them, coming December 10th. You get Rock and Roll High School on 4K coming also December 10th.
That's had a 4K scan for a while too. Like my old Blu-ray from them is from a 4K scan.
Yeah. Then you get Ted, their first Ted, on 4K from Shout Factory on December 10th as well. Man, they're releasing them all on December 10th. That's crazy. You get
Yeah,
the
they
golden.
basically do that.
Yeah.
Then they'll switch a few of them around because one or two things is going to get delayed.
Oh, guaranteed.
Always does by a week or two, yeah.
Yes, guaranteed. And then you get the Golden Harvest Volume 2 Shining Stars set with, the martial arts films, December 17th. The Holdovers on 4K, December 17th, which that's had a foreign 4K release.
I would say that's a newer film, right? The one with
that's a new film, yeah. At this point, I would bet that the foreign 4K might be cheaper in the long run than the Shout one.
Probably.
Yeah. And then you get Far and Away with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman when they were still married, coming December 12th on December 17th. Sorry, from them. And then you get the gift for Kate Blanchett, Keanu Reeves, and Katie Holmes, where she shows her tits, called The Gift, December 3rd on 4K. And I believe that was it for the Shaft Factory titles.
I feel like Shit Factory just rolls off the tongue better, you know.
It does, but they give you the shaft every time.
Yeah.
Fucking losers.
Right. That's their slogan, but they're Shit Factory, you know.
Yeah.
Shit Factory will always make sure to give you the shaft. Tom Cruise.
They give you the shaft, but never the lube.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, there you go. Look, Boba Fett said the holdovers has a UK USD. I imported it. The specs look identical to the Shop Factory. Yeah, and I bet you could actually, if you like, you go onto Diabolic Orbit or other places like that. It's probably going to be, if not the same price, maybe a little cheaper than the Shop Factory one. At this point, you're really just paying for their name brand, and I don't think their name brand is what it once was. So they
don't add anything usually anymore. They at least used to go out of their way to add new stuff every time even if it was just a couple of little things. Just the extra little effort makes a difference. I especially hate when they turn around and just we bitched about this before, when they would just re-release a movie with nothing new on it, or just the stuff that came with the Blu-ray already before, or the DVD, and it's like, you guys didn't bring anything new to the table, and half time they end up leaving something off anyway. So
it's true. It's true. I don't hate
like
the gift.
More recently, they what they did to Matinee. I don't know if you guys
I heard about that because they left off the movie that they filmed for the movie, right? Isn't that what it was? Yeah,
because I can't remember how much footage. There's like 20 or so minutes of a movie that Joe Dante just filmed, so they had it to play, throughout the film. And so that was all cut together and scanned from the original film and put on the Blu-ray from a couple of years back, but they didn't carry that over to the new 4K release for some reason.
Yeah,
they probably didn't want to pay all the other actors and shit. Like, I don't know.
Probably. But yeah, like Tyrell, I don't hate The Gift. I think it's an all right movie. I believe that was Sam Raimi, wasn't it? Did he?
It's not one of his better ones. It's okay. It's been years since I've seen it. I don't really remember any of it, so that tells you anything. Did we get through the Shaft Factory ones yet?
Yes, that was all the Shaft Factory ones.
And we got I Love Lucy coming. It's on sale right now for $100, but I think I'm gonna wait a while on that one till it comes down again some more.
Yeah. What about the 30th anniversary limited edition steelbook collector set of, well, it's not steelbook, but of Pulp Fiction coming?
They can suck a dick.
December 3rd, big box set.
Because that's, I already got the steelbook. I don't know if I'm gonna go. I mean, there wasn't anything in there that really looked like it was worth upgrading for. I don't know. And then the rest of the Arrow releases we got were besides Critters, Demolition Man, Good, Bad, and the Weird, The Last Video Store, The Great Escape, and I can't read this last one. What the fuck is this last one with the chick's face on it?
Good, Bad, and Weird, The Great Escape. I'm looking.
The first one on their list. I can't see what it is.
The Addiction.
I don't know. Some chick's on it.
It looks like
it's called Maxine or something like that.
It says Lily Taylor, Christopher Walken, The Addiction.
I can't fucking read it. It's too small. And I'm old. Yeah, it's The Addiction. Yeah, I guess so. You're right. I shouldn't doubt you.
I know. I should never be doubted.
So Arrow's releases are kind of meh, other than, Demolition Man, let's be real. Sorry, not to get, that's a big deal. The big deal with that one is we get to watch it, I guess, in both versions if you want to watch the foreign or the original in 4K. So for us in the US, this will be the first time some of us will see the Pizza Hut version.
Yes, which is funny because I actually didn't know about that for the longest time till just recently that over there, every restaurant is a Pizza Hut over there in their version. So go figure.
It's because they didn't have a lot of Taco Bells overseas at that point.
The Oriots, if I'm saying your name right, there are lots of DVDs and Blu-rays out there that are not streaming. Lots of movies. Don't be deceived by the streaming market there. I can't think of any off the top of my head at the moment, but matter of fact, I think one of my titles might be. I don't think it's streaming. I'm
sure a lot of my titles depending on what it is here. I mean, yeah, at least 2 of them probably aren't. I'm going to get through them tonight.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple other announcements too. Kino had some smaller announcements, I know. What were they?
Let me check real quick.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here. I know I'm slacking today.
That's all right. Oh yeah, but this is a rumor. But I saw this right after our show last week. Nosferatu, the vampire that Tom brought on.
Oh
the,
yeah,
from
yeah.
1979 remake is rumored to be coming from Shit Factory in December.
They better rescan both versions. And Billy Madison was the big one I was trying to think of from Kino.
Oh yeah. Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore is coming from 4K.
we got that one last week announced.
Oh, did we get that one last week? Okay.
I think so. I think we mentioned that one last week. I could be wrong, but yeah, there was a few other smaller ones from Kino I had never heard of, but that was a big one.
Yeah.
Hot Pursuit, I think you mentioned that last week too.
Mm-hmm.
The Hunted.
Is that the one with
Tommy Lee Jones and
Benicio del Toro?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the big ones from Kino. Then let me just check one more place, and then we can move on.
Yes. I know we're getting. It looks like Legends of the Fall is coming to 4K on December 3rd from Sony.
Yeah, that's the other one. Beetlejuice is supposed to be coming in November. Deadpool and Wolverine's finally up for pre-order. Aliens up for pre-order. Now, Zavi got a Steelbook of Signs and Sixth Sense that sold out almost instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not heard anything about us getting those here. But I'm going to be curious if those are even real. Like, I don't trust jack shit coming out of Disney now after the whole James Cameron thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
To be honest with you, I'm like really leery.
Now I'm kind of. Go ahead.
No, I even bought the digital version of Planet of the Apes when I heard it was supposed, the 4K.
Mm-hmm.
It don't look any different than my Blu-ray.
Right.
And there might even have been some things I noticed in it that looked like it might have had some AI up conversion. But anyway.
Yeah. Now,
that's all the basic we got. So, yeah.
This kind of worries me because now we know that Sony's taking over, like, basically, like, the distribution of, like, producing them and putting them out, but they're coming from Disney scans, right? So, is this like an attempt to make Sony look bad? Because most people aren't going to know that. They're just going to assume that Sony made them. I don't know. That's just.
I really wish Sony was handling their mastering too.
Yeah, I wish they were.
And we're going to talk about that in a bit. So yeah.
Okay. Well, there you guys have it. That's what's coming soon to Blu-ray or 4K for you guys.
Coming soon to home video.
Awesome.
Soon to home video.
So what do you got for us tonight, Rook?
Yeah, let's start with you, Rook. What do you got?
All righty. Well, I'm going to start with not a movie.
Or should
this
I?
time with that. So, this is a graphic novel.
You can't bring books.
Why not? It's a
that's the rule. No books.
Graphic novel, bro. Physical media.
Is it anything to do with a movie?
Is it physical media? Yes, it's physical media.
Shit.
So, yeah.
You didn't tell him the no graphic novel rule?
And it's also October.
No.
So, but he does have a YouTube channel and he tells stories. He's a cool storyteller.
I'm kidding. Start over again for the poor guy.
That's fine. Yep, that's all good. So yeah, Mr. Ballin, he's a former Navy SEAL. He's a really good storyteller. He's of the strange, dark, and mysterious. He's grown huge. When I found him, he had a few million subs. Now he's got over 10 million. He's grown big time. As a whole team helping him. He's just a dude recording in his house during COVID and stuff, and just really took off and finds a lot of stories, does a lot of research on them and cross references. The way that he tells stories are pretty cool. This is the first time that they've put visuals to stories that he tells. So it's pretty good, pretty thick. It's on Amazon if you want to get that. But if you're not sure about getting the graphic novel first, just check out his channel and check out his videos. He's got ones, 911 cases. He's got places that people aren't supposed to go, but go there anyway, and shit happens. Medical ones, military ones, a lot of cool stories there. And I find them entertaining and funny. Cool. Yeah, so that one's awesome. I haven't read this yet because I just got it yesterday. Just arrived.
What's the name of it?
Strange, Dark, and Mysterious.
Okay.
Graphic novel series. And yeah, on Amazon, Mr. Ballin. There we go. Since I did not read it, I can't tell you which stories are in it yet.
You violated like 6 rules.
I just got it yesterday. Okay, like it just was released.
There will be fines forthcoming, Rook. Just so you know.
Well, I mean, I haven't been here.
Why do you think Runner left?
Lately? Can't get rid of me that easily, Tom. Nope.
Everybody, Rookie Critic is back on the show.
We'll loophole through.
No, you got to at least read it, my man. Come on.
I'm going to, and it's October. I'm going to read it, so I'll be able to tell you opinions on it later.
I think the only book I ever brought on here was fucking Cinema Speculation, to be honest with you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think maybe I have brought something else on before. But
oh, you brought on the one, like, was it Garbage Pail Kids or some book?
Yeah, that Garbage Pail. I showed off like a bunch of those Topps books and stuff. Yeah, so I have.
I can tell you some stuff that I think is going to be in here because he does visualize some.
Now he's just making it up, folks.
In video that he's told in videos. Okay. But I don't remember what they were called off the top of my head, so it wouldn't describing it wouldn't.
It's a story about a guy, and it's got some wolves in it. So he's doing stuff with wolves.
No,
he's dancing.
I was gonna use an example.
Wolves.
I was gonna use an example, like, but would that spoil the story if I like give the example with it? I don't know. It's just he has a YouTube channel. You guys can check out.
Just breaking your balls.
Stuff. You're good. But yeah, so this thing. So I have 2 movie picks, but the one is an 8 movie set, and it's rare for me to watch that many movies.
It is
such a brief amount of time.
It's all the Police Academy movies, kids. About time.
And the other movie was also a long movie, so like this is insane territory for the Rookster. But I'm gonna do those on my next turn. Back to you, Tom.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead to Tom now.
He had to appeal to the broadcaster in me, didn't he?
Yep.
Where do I start?
So you go, thanks, Rook. Now on to my pick today. That'll obviously trump yours.
All right, I'm going to start with the goofy one here. So don't let the cover fool you. Here's another Vinegar Syndrome winner pick of the week. It's called Reptilicus.
I've seen this one.
You've seen this one. Okay, so this is one of the poor Godzilla ripoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what is it? German or some shit? I don't even remember. It's not that great. I didn't watch the other version though either. But they do have like both versions on here. So okay, for some frame of reference, remember how last week we were talking about Nosferatu actually had a German filmed version and an English filmed version?
Yes.
Same thing here, but the 2 movies vary in a lot of ways, I guess. Because the American version was pretty much taken away from the director and recut.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, they shot using the same sets, same special effects, and all that kind of crap. I think some of the same actors for the most part, too, or at least most of them, aside from like 1 or 2. And the basic story, it actually is kind of interesting at first, the way it starts, but then it just kind of meanders for too long, and you don't ever really get to see the monster. And when you do, it looks worse than most Godzilla creatures.
Yeah.
Like the ones he's fighting. And, yeah. So, the story, though, is kind of interesting. They're drilling. I can't remember if it's for oil or something else in the beginning of the movie. And they drill into some fleshy thing. And it turns out to be the tip of this tail of an old ass dinosaur dragon flying thing they call Reptilicus. And it gets thawed out because it was kept in ice. And as it thaws out, it starts to regenerate. And so I mean, kind of an interesting concept, but then the movie just kind of falls apart because it's just too much meandering without any actual monsters. And then when the monster does show up, it's quite disappointing usually. So and obscure most of the time too.
Yeah. Sadie didn't like it.
Yeah, she sat here the whole time through Rookie's thing. Now that it's my turn, she thinks she's got to go outside.
Good girl. She likes me. Yep.
Yes, I have seen Reptilicus. It's been a while, but yeah, from what I do remember, it's like it's really bad ripoff, and it does meander a little bit when that monster shows up. I remember cracking up laughing when the monster shows up because it's so goofy. But yeah, I've seen it before, and I want to say that Mystery Science Theater 3000 may have also did a thing on it. I don't know if I remember correctly, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think they did. But yeah, like they played that Saturday morning one time, and I watched it, and it was just goofy. It was just goofy. So I probably watched the American English one that was on TV. So yeah, no, it's a fun movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. Yeah. Sadly, there's no boobies in Reptilicus. No boobies whatsoever. It's an old movie. They didn't do that back then. Yeah, I don't. I for some reason I want to say I think I saw it too. Also on a Mystery Science Theater 3000. I don't know if it was an older one or something, but I just don't remember.
It
don't
seems like a
remember.
movie that would wind up on there.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was an older.
It's not
one
quite cheesy enough in the acting and stuff to be bad, to be entertainingly bad.
Mm-hmm.
But they make up for that with the crappy Dragonsaurus Reptilicus thing.
It's great.
Yeah, it looks like literally like a puppet. Like, and I don't mean like a on your hand puppet. I'm talking like a marionette puppet. You can see the fucking strings. I mean, well, that's it's 4K scan. So
Yeah. So does it look good on 4K?
oh
Does
yeah,
it look,
it's Vinegar Syndrome. So I mean, it looks great.
they leave the
Sounds
good stuff on
fine.
it.
There's a bunch of features I didn't get to. I mean, like I said, I think it even has the other version on there. I don't know. I don't think the other version's in 4K though. I think the foreign one's just in standard Blu-ray form. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those where I would look at it going, this is one time where Vinegar Syndrome, where they always make sure they give you your money's worth, but I wish they would do some more stripped down versions of some of these movies that I'm taking a chance on. Because they're not cheap.
Yeah,
Vinegar Syndrome makes it worth the money, but they're not cheap. And so it's like, it'd be nice if they had just like a stripped down version of this movie, the 4K only or whatever, or something like that, to where they weren't charging so much. And it's just, yeah. But, sometimes they kind of do things of that sort. But regardless, I don't want to complain too much because it looks good. They're not badly priced. I think I got it on their sale deal, so I don't even remember what I paid for it. But I got it with a few other movies that I haven't got around to watching yet. And don't ask me why I stuck this in before The Howling 2. I regret it.
Oh, that's right, The Howling 2. I want to get that.
I didn't watch that yet. I've seen it, but I didn't watch the 4K yet. I skimmed through it. It looks good. So.
No, good. I need to pick that up. No, yeah, I agree. We're like, we complain about Shout Factory, how expensive they are. At least with like a Vinegar Syndrome movie you buy, it's not. It's like a presentation. So like you can get like a hard box and another slip cover, a poster, all like it makes you feel like
and
your
they
money
load it up to the gills with special features. So yeah,
it doesn't feel like you're just wasting money. Like when you buy a Shout Factory, it's just like here's a flimsy slip cover and here's the movie.
Yeah.
So I will give you that. And Reptilicus was, it's not a great movie, but it's a fun watch, especially like on a Saturday morning.
Wait till it's on sale. I'm sure it'll pop up on sale on.
Yeah.
So at least that'll happen. They'll like the ones like Amazon will eventually get them in other places. They just won't have the hard cover and maybe not the slip cover or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're done, I guess we'll move on to my first pick.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say about that one.
That's all good. It's all good. I guess sort of keeping with a little bit of a creature feature sort of thing here.
You need to trim your nails there.
I do. I thought it was good. It was good.
Oh, yeah,
no, speaking of trimming nails, Wolf with Michelle Pfeiffer and Jack Nicholson on Blu-ray.
The Joker with the Catwoman.
Joker with the Catwoman. She's got a pretty I won't say that.
Just the pussy I've been looking
for. This is great. This is one of those just like weird movies.
I have not seen it in years. I just remember not liking it all that much on video, but I saw somebody's like breakdown of the movie a while back, and I'm like, maybe I'll have to give this movie another shot. Now, isn't this getting a 4K from like?
Not
or maybe
sure.
this is I'm thinking of the Benicio del Toro one. Never mind.
Oh yeah, that's getting it from Shout Factory, the Wolfman. Now they're like, I was watching some of the special features on this, and this movie, because like you said, it wasn't very well received by a lot of people. I always kind of liked it because I just thought it was goofy enough and just funny to see Jack Nicholson try to portray a werewolf and stuff. So, well, technically, it's not quite a werewolf, even though it is. It's weird. But I was watching some of the special feature, the behind the scenes of it and stuff. It sounded to me like this was originally supposed to be a very different movie, where it wasn't where he was becoming a werewolf. He was becoming more.
Now, this video that I watched
manly?
was making a case for, like, I guess there's another version of this movie, like, that was, because I guess this movie had a bunch of reshoots or something like that, or
Yeah, lots.
the director's not happy with the cut that's out there, is my understanding. So, like, I guess there is, like, another version of this movie that this person was basically lobbying for that cut to be released.
I wouldn't mind seeing that, because yes, I do know there's very multiple different cuts of the movie, and like Rick Baker even did the special effects and makeup and stuff for this, and I think a lot of that was actually cut out from the movie. I think, and that's like the wolf makeup on him is basically just like sideburns, hair, and teeth. So I think there was a lot more to it. But like when I was watching the special features, it sounded to me like this was like, because it's funny to see Jack Nicholson supposed to be playing this guy who's basically getting walked on by everybody, right? It's Jack Nicholson, and he's supposed to be like one of the greatest people ever, and he's getting put down at work. He's going to lose his job. James Spader is better than him, screwing his wife. All these people are just like put down on him, and he's just this really, really nice guy, and he gets bit by a wolf, and then all of a sudden he starts sort of turning into a werewolf, or wolf, I guess you could say, and it great, he becomes Jack Nicholson, basically, like telling people to fuck off and stepping up his game, and he's banging Michelle Pfeiffer and all that, right? So that's what it is. But like when I was watching the special features, when they were talking about how the story can be, originally it was like he wasn't supposed to become a werewolf. He was becoming like the ideal came about, like, what if this man who was such a good man, who was beaten down by life, his primitive nature, his primitive Neanderthal gets awoken, and he becomes basically more masculine, is basically what they were trying to say. And he starts, becoming this type of guy. So that's where I think it is. And like they said, there was like two themes here for the movie, because the director they hired, like you mentioned, he was more like, he did like Biloxi Blues, and he did what was that movie with Harrison Ford? He did another movie, but like he was like old school sort of Hollywood, did like classical drama and stuff type movies and stuff. And he wasn't adept to horror creature features. And then like this became sort of a horror creature feature, and like the styles didn't quite blend. And I think that's why this movie has so many, like, some people don't like it, some people do. It's got multiple versions of the film. I would like to see it all come together. That would be nice. This is from Indicator. So, and to be honest with you, when I was watching this, there is certain scenes, especially in the beginning, it looks like they were added back in, because they're different than the rest of the scan of the movie. Yeah, because this is a high definition remaster, all it says. But there's like a few scenes in the beginning of the movie. Well, not like in the beginning of the movie, like within the first like 30 minutes of the movie, just like 3 or 4 scenes that are much more grainier and feel like they were originally part of the film. If you know what I'm talking about. You've seen those, like where they've been like. So I'm not sure if it's different cuts or something, or if it's just that's the way it was put together. But there are a few scenes in like the first 30 minutes of the movie that don't match with the rest of the way the scan looks, because the scan is actually pretty good. It's a little dark, but there's certain scenes, and it's not necessarily just when it's dark where it gets a little more grainy and stuff. It's some of the scenes are in the daylight, and it looks a little grainier than the rest. When you watch it, you can, if you ever do, you would be able to notice it.
Yeah.
But I liked the movie. I thought it was fun. Well, I can't say it's fun and great. I always thought the ending was a little bit stupid. The ending is really stupid, and you can tell sort of at the end, because everybody kind of looks a little different after the events that take, like maybe it was reshot. You can tell.
Yeah, I think it's had some reshoots and stuff going for it.
So
that might be another reason why some of it looks different too. Who knows?
Yeah. So I would be interesting to see the full movie. the full movie. And yeah, I would have to say Michelle Pfeiffer's looking pretty damn good in this movie. She's at that right age. I'm not sure how old she was. I'd have to look her up, but she doesn't look like she's a young girl anymore. But she doesn't look like an older girl. She's like at that right age where she's about 30. I want to say where she looks really good. She does. She looks really good, and she's sleeping with Jack Nicholson, who looks like he's like 70.
It's because he probably was at that point.
Yeah, he probably was. And they do add hair to him too, because that's funny. Because like
he's like 108.
Yeah, he's Jack Nicholson, man.
I ain't gonna die ever.
I'm gonna smoke this stogie. I'm gonna bang that 20-year-old over there, and then I'm gonna go lay at my beach house.
Pretty much.
How is James Spader better than Jack Nicholson? That is impossible. Just in the movie, man, he's like this smarmy asshole in the movie. Yeah, so he's always like conniving behind his back, and he's like, "Oh, really? They gave me your job? Just tell me to quit, and I'll quit." And he's like, "Quit." And he's like, "No, I can't do that." So he's like a little smarming asshole in it. Yeah, but I just got the hankering to watch that. It's that time of year. I hadn't seen it in a very, very long time. It's very 90s. It's very like, you can tell this was a movie that was playing against itself, because like with the romance with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer and his wife and James Spader and him, he's a publisher at that for books, that in the edits and stuff, feels very old Hollywood. It feels like a old, like a Hollywood type of movie. You know what I mean? That you would see. But then also on the other side of the movie, you have Jack Nicholson turning into a werewolf who goes out at night and eats a deer and tears off a black dude's fingers and possibly is a murderer. And it doesn't quite mesh well, you know what I mean? So, but that's why it makes it kind of a fun experience to watch, to be honest with you, because it's just this weird melding of this movie. But yeah, there you guys have it. That's my pick. Yeah, very nice. And it's Jack Nicholson, man. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to watch her turn into Catwoman again? That was great. Oh, sweet. Batman Returns is awesome. I love that movie. It needs more credit. But there you guys have it. That's my first one. Rook, are you ready for your next one?
Indeed.
All right.
Alrighty. I finally was able to watch Spartacus, the original movie.
And this is your first time.
First time. I've seen the Spartacus show. This is my first time watching the original one here on the Blu-ray. So I realized that when I looked up the trailer, it looks really clean on the Blu-ray, and I'm sure the 4K looks pretty good too. I would have been fine watching it with the older like footage style that it had, but they cleaned up like the grainy stuff on there. And I think that they do a lot, especially the Romans. I love the Roman stuff in this. The politics that I'm sure a lot of people would probably not enjoy as much in the story. I like their conflict in general. I like their interactions with each other, the way that they present in the public with it. It's all like a posturing sort of thing. There's like, I like seeing that kind of stuff, especially.
I think that's one of the reasons people like Spartacus.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that they tried to show a lot more of a romance in this, and I was trying to while at a certain point in the movie, I was more realizing that it is one of its time in terms of how clean things are. Like they don't show too much blood. They really try to not show as much like on-screen killing specifically. Like they cut away a little bit where they can. They try to, when they do have it, like they show like a few points, like when the one gladiator tries to attack the stands real quick and he gets stabbed in the neck. They show a little bit of blood there, but back in those days, they didn't show a lot of violence on. They didn't show a lot of violence on TV, right? Like they didn't show a lot in the theaters, like on screen. I assume.
Technically, it's just like less is more, so what your mind can imagine what's actually happening.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. I feel like that's why they probably went with the romantic angle too, of the time. That's like that part of his story would be more interesting for the audience to watch. I think The beginning, I feel like when they get to the riot, when they get to the revolt, the gladiator revolt, that happened just kind of out of nowhere. It felt like a little bit. It just but the story is a long story, so
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
a
of
very
parts
epic
are
story.
cut to get more to the point. They don't have a whole season's worth of TV shows to tell the
Isn't it
story,
like
so
a
it's cut,
3-hour movie though,
cut, cut,
right?
cut. Yeah, it's a long movie, but still, like when in the nowadays where they have hour-long episode shows of stuff, they take a lot of time to get the stuff. So we are used to that, but I do like what they do in the 3.5 hours is really good for it. I love especially so the when they have the final battle. So this being in like the 60s, was there at that point? Was this probably like the biggest on-screen like Roman formation, like big battle sequence, or is that I can't think of movies too early on that had like a huge on-screen battle sequence.
This is like one of those movies, like very not inspirational. What
Like
is it?
groundbreaking as far as like
Yeah,
they're
like
the
groundbreaking,
first to do
like
a lot
this
of stuff.
and Ben Hur and stuff like that, where like
Yeah.
they were these big epic scale movies that would show, like most people you've seen the TV show first,
Yeah.
so you sort of got that in your head, trying to compare it. Well, not trying to compare, but
Yeah, I'm not trying to. It just comes naturally while I'm watching it.
because your head, because that's what you saw first. But like that is inspired by this movie, so everything that they can do in that is coming from this, and so this is
One thing they don't do in the show though, which I wish they did more of, was show like a top view or like a wider view of the Roman formations and stuff. They did a whole 1.5-minute sequence just showing the Romans kind of get into a battle position as they march toward the army, and I don't see that often. And Rome especially was famous for a lot of their battle positions and tactics, so I liked seeing that on this. I imagine back then, I wonder like how long it would have taken to get that many people, because on screen I doubt there's any form of CGI tampering back in those days.
No.
So every person on screen is on screen and has to be in formation. So, and I don't know if, like with their technology, like how many takes they would have to do. I also like how a lot of the scenes are like on location. There's some that are on a set that is very noticeable when they're on a set because they go to so many on location places.
Back in the day,
which looks good, but yeah.
Back in the day when they filmed movies, they would go on location. They would be able to have those wide shots with all those people coming down the street. Nowadays, they just put a green screen up, shoot it. There you go, and we'll add it in post. So
pretty much,
old movies actually went on location. They actually filmed out in the real world. Yes, there were some sets when they had to go. So I mean, Rome doesn't exist like that anymore. So they have to build it.
Of course. Well, no. I mean, when they have a set that is supposed to be them outside, that was very noticeable.
Sometimes they had to do that. Yes,
I know. But like to me, that would be the equivalent of like noticing they're on a green screen a bit because they're on location like 90% of the time. And then it's like, oh, this that background, this trees, okay, whatever, it's fine. But it's like it was noticeable to that degree. Like if they panned up, then you'd see the end of the set there. But no, this was done well. There's some parts that again, it's of its time, like the fighting, like when they're in the gladiator match. I don't know what the direction for how they did fights back then was. They're just kind of going a lot of stand-in,
but we didn't have
shots. It's just like, I mean, all right,
fight choreography like there is now back then.
I know that's what I'm saying. I know that it's of its time with stuff, and again, how much violence you show on screen in the 1960s, I don't know, like for a movie, or if that's what they prefer. And it was PG-13, which I don't know at that time if that matters, or if they had the label really there. Somewhere in here. So
no, it was re-rated later.
So re-rated later. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because there was no PG-13 rating in the 1960s.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, my timeline. No, they didn't have the ratings yet. You guys said that like Indiana Jones and
it's barely older than
Gremlins and stuff like helps create the ratings later, essentially. But so the acting from a lot of the characters are really good, but honestly, the guy who plays Spartacus was the least interesting to me compared to the others. I feel like there's a lot of other actors on there that did a much better job just by comparison. I don't know. Like this guy, the guy was fine, but
it's Kirk Douglas, man. That's
I
like
don't
one
care.
of his most famous roles.
I don't care. Like that
People
doesn't matter.
remember him from.
I don't care what everybody thinks of him as whatever. I'm just saying, like he was the least. His stuff was not as interesting as the other stuff, like with the other characters. I think.
Is he really bashing?
Yeah,
I'm not bashing. I complimented the. Were you deaf this whole time? I've been complimenting it, man.
The movie, yeah. Then you're just like, yeah, fuck Kirk Douglas, though. Like,
yeah, I didn't care for Kirk Douglas's performance there, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Whatever. Call it a shit take if you want. I'll stand by that one. But no, I do wish that movies that have huge army battles would have top views of their positions, because that was instead of just the mesh blob clashing into each other. At least seeing them with proper battle formations was I really like seeing that. It's cool. So yeah, decent one for that. And I'm trying to think what war movies were before this, because like when we talked about like Gladiator, like there had been some up to that point, but even then there wasn't like a whole bunch. Like in the last 20 years, there's been more sword and sandal.
Well, there was a few, but I mean, on that level, outside of like Ben-Hur or something like that, not really.
Yeah. I gotcha. But yeah, so Spartacus, saw that. Nice watch. Glad that I watched it. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
You guys have anything you want to talk about it? I heard that the director disowned this. This is the movie that he disowned.
Yeah.
They had a lot of issues
Kubrick?
either with the producer.
Well, it was one of the few movies he made as just like a studio picture, and that was it.
Yeah, it wasn't
right.
like
I don't know if you guys knew more about the story with that or anything, because I don't know.
He did it as a favor to Kirk. He yeah, it had originally had a different director.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Boba Fett says here, was brought in after principal photography had started to replace the original director, so it was never really his movie. And yeah, he did it for Kirk Douglas there. So pretty much, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, he wouldn't have done this. He would have had a lot of different cast and would have done things much different.
Mm-hmm. Student interference, it was a thing and still is a thing.
He basically worked for hire.
Mm-hmm. So like in return, it really wasn't his movie, so he doesn't really care for it. So it's like he doesn't have a stake in it, which is funny because it's like one of the most memorable movies of all times. People constantly still quote "I am Spartacus," and even though you don't like him, Kirk Douglas' performance is hailed and praised and everything from that movie. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Kurt regretted hiring Stanley Kubrick. Yeah. So yeah, studio interference always messes things up. But it's inspired so much.
Yeah, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. So the part that I think has the movie end on one of the better notes, in my opinion, is that the good guys lose. And I mean, they base it on history. Like that's what happens. But like I imagine at that time, it's usually good guys win. Good guys win in most things. Like it'll be okay. Don't worry. And that's usually how a lot of stories will end.
Typically with a story like Spartacus,
Jesus didn't quite win. I mean, in the end, he did, but I mean,
I mean that's why you get the sequel. Passion of Christ 2, because I'm back, and now I'm back with vengeance. No, but like most historic stories don't always have those happy endings. So that's what it was.
Yeah, that's good.
That was more of a 50s and 80s thing.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, it's just like I was expecting it to be. I wasn't sure because I know how the story ended. I wasn't sure of because of its time if they would be like and we got away. Some of us we may have lost most of our army, but we got away or something. But I'm glad they stuck to it, and it's like, oh shoot, okay, they had a good ending there. Gets crucified in the end anyway. But the small bit of hope was that his wife and kid get to go on. So it's hardly a victory, but not a 100% defeat.
That's all that matters. He's in, and
Yeah.
we're still talking
It's one
his
of
story
those
today.
It's one of those even if you're gonna lose, because like that was clear, like you're outnumbered, you're sandwiched between armies, like you're screwed. You guys aren't gonna make it out of
But
this.
did
It's
he
like,
really
well,
lose?
you do it anyway.
But did he really lose? People are still talking about it today, and the inspiration that is Spartacus.
Right. Well,
I mean, he may have lost the day, but he didn't. He didn't lose
but
the
people
war.
still
Lost
also
the battle, but he
but
didn't
people
lose the
still
war.
also talk about Rome all the time too. So I mean,
They
I
talk
don't know.
about the fall of Rome,
They talk about how mighty it was as well,
and then how it fell.
how advanced of a civilization it was back for its time.
Was there supposed to be a
whatnot.
sequel to Spartacus? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. I heard that with the show, this sounds so stupid to me. They wanted to do one called like the House of Asher, and it's like, you mean one of those guys that got killed? What are we talking about? And then they're like, no, it'd be like, what if he didn't get killed? What? Like a what if? Just like a random what if he? And I'm like, well, wait. So like, I don't know what you just have to change everything because the way it's presented in there, spoilers. See, I mean, he's not like in a huge. Whatever, it's been out for a long time.
I've never seen the show, so
he's like went up to go talk to Spartacus and the army about surrendering to Spartacus, and then they'll all be spared but be slaves. And they're like, nah. And instead of he's like, all right, well, I'll go down and tell him. No, they decided to cut his head off and send the message that way. But it's like, even if he went down and said, okay, they're not going to come down, he was going to get killed anyway. Like they were through with him. He sent him there to get killed, so he would be dead. And like in either scenario. So they'd have to really do something really stupid to like make a House of Asher movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I've never seen the TV series, so I don't know. But no, Spartacus, it's a great movie. I'm glad you at least liked it you liked the movie. So yeah. I mean, there's something special about old movies, man. You see, it's like you're describing it, like the sets and the shots and everything. So something special about them.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to Tom. Any final words, Rook?
Nope. That's it.
All right. Well, let's go on to Tom. What do you got for us, Tom?
Oh, Greg's cutting out. So I've continued down my path of vampires. And hadn't seen these in a long time. But I have a 2-pack here since Shout Factory's versions have been way out of print for quite some time. I have the Eureka import of Blackula. Scream, Blackula Scream. With Pam Grier.
Nice. I've never seen Blackula.
Oh, they're fun. They're fun. Yeah, I mean they're not as. It's kind of like with Shaft. I mean, I'm not going to pretend they're as good as Shaft, but I mean, the blaxploitation / race element isn't as much as you would honestly think. Although it's a little bit more so in this.
So I mean, I assume it's Dracula, but it's also black.
Kind of. Okay, so,
I don't know anything about.
No, the basic setup is this guy from Africa named Muambwe, or however he'll say his name. I can't remember.
That's okay. I'm bad with names too.
Yeah. Anyway, Muamwaldi. I think that's how Muamwadi or something like that is how you say his name. He goes to visit Count Dracula. Way back in the day, and he's trying to get support to end the slave trade, and Dracula, of course, can't support him on that, and they have a bit of a disagreement, and of course, he turns him into a vampire and gives him his name, Blackula. And then from there, he wakes up in the 70s, and yeah.
Sounds fun.
It's pretty much what it sounds like. I mean, it's a loose adaptation of Dracula, set in the modern times ish, and it has its own spin on it. And again, it's not as. This is how you can do stuff like this without being obnoxious, because it has an element to it, but it's not the whole end all be all. And then you got the sequel, which is probably even a little bit more fun than the first one, although it's not as good of a film overall. But yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like in the 70s, though, like with the race relations and everything, it's a bit poignant. So it wasn't like in your face. It was something you could watch, and it wasn't, like
I mean, it
nowadays.
comes up, but it's not like
Yeah,
a
I mean,
constant thing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, back then they could make those movies, and it wasn't always like you said. It wasn't all in your face. Maybe it pops up here and there, but nothing. Nowadays, this is like this ain't the 70s, folks. So, but no. What about Scream Blackula Scream?
That one's a bit interesting story too. That's got Pam Grier in it. She actually plays like a voodoo priestess. And there's this other guy who's part of this witch cult group that they are part of, who wants to be the leader. Only she's kind of the one that everybody wants to be the leader. So you got kind of like their story going on in the background, while he resurrects Blackula, and
Nice.
to help him. And only Blackula, of course, kind of falls for Pam Grier's priestess character. And it's just got a little bit different dynamic. So it's a little bit, and plus you got Pam Grier and a little bit bigger cast, a little bit more going on in this film than the first one. But first film is still probably the better of the two as far as just, I don't know. They're both neck and neck, pun intended. Really. And as far as special features, though, there's nothing really much on here. I think, and I don't even think Shout's versions were that loaded with anything. It just has like an interview with one of the cast members, not even anybody big. I think it's the chick from the first film or something like that. But no, they're fun. They're fairly decent quality. I'd imagine they've been out of print long enough now, and Amazon owns them now. So I think we're getting a remake, which I heard. I think it might even be done already.
Now
I don't have that. Was it Jordan? Not Jordan Peele, but I think the other guy, Key, I think did it.
Well, maybe then. I don't know. He was funny.
See, now from the sound of it, this one sounds like it's going to be more race bent than the first original one is.
Yeah,
as far as like leaning into that, but otherwise, Amazon owns it now, so I'm sure we'll get a 4K before too long now.
Yeah. But I gotta know? Does Pam Grier go topless?
No, I don't think she does. Not from my memory. I think there was some boobs at some point, but I'm not 100%. I don't really remember. There wasn't anything that was memorable, anyways.
Yeah, nothing special, huh? Did we ever get Blackenstein? No, but
yes.
that would have been. Did we? Did we? I didn't know that. Now I got to see that one too.
Yes.
When did that come out?
Not too long after this.
Oh, really? I've never even known.
It's actually on Blu-ray, even because it's sitting in my cart on Diabolic, I believe.
I did not know this. I mean, I knew about the Blackula movies, and I wanted to watch them. But...
Yeah, Blackenstein. Yeah, 1978 or 77, I think it came out.
Nice. I'm gonna have to look that.
That's
one
almost got titties on the cover, so you can't even show
it. No. Well, I'm already sold on that one then.
Two versions of the most notorious blaxploitation shocker of all time.
That's awesome. That's great. I did not even know.
Actually, 73, not 78. My bad.
Oh.
So actually, I wonder, does this predate Blackula?
Does it? We're learning something here tonight, folks.
No, it's same year as Blackula 2.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if it has anything to do with the same people or not.
What do you mean, same people?
Like, I don't know if it has the same people.
Easy there, Rook. Easy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's related in any way to the other, but it's in my cart. I plan on getting it eventually when I can afford it.
That's been the biggest problem here lately. I've not been able to buy a lot of new stuff lately because times are tough, as they say.
Yeah.
Not that I don't have. I'm not saying that I have money.
And this is region locked, so if somebody wants to import this, just keep that in mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like but the Scream and Shop Factory ones are out of print, though, right?
Yeah, I think they've been out of print for quite some time. That's what I'm saying. It's due. It's due for. Actually, the anniversary was like 2 years ago, surprisingly. But like I said, Amazon, they've been pushing out a lot of like. I won't be surprised if this is eventually. Well, it could even be announced this week because I just brought it up.
You would just like Nosferatu. It's gonna as soon as we get done tomorrow. They'll say Blackula and Scream Blackula or whatever it will come out on
4K.
That's crazy. All right, well, I don't. Any other words you want to say on them?
Nah, they're fun. They're fine. I can recommend them. It's just good luck getting your hands on them right now. But I wouldn't go jumping like the gun and trying to buy, in like importing them or trying to pay way too much for the shout versions, because I'm sure we're gonna get a newer version before too long.
Probably. I will laugh so hard if it's announced tomorrow. Just like
they might even be just waiting for that remake to be done, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to mine, which is probably another one neither one of you have seen. Period.
Debbie Does Dallas.
Debbie, I just found out there's actually one called Debbie Does Them All.
Yeah, there's a lot of Debbie Does.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Funnily enough, the first film doesn't have a decent remastering though.
Yeah, I know. You would think that.
You would think that and Deep Throat would have like decent versions out there, but I don't think they do.
So the most prolific,
Yeah.
But anyways, I have the movie Spiral. No, not Spiral, the Book of Saul. Spiral, starring Joel David
Like the
Moore.
video game.
Yeah, no, starring Joel David Moore, Zachary Levi, and Amber Tamblyn. Murder is a work of art, directed by Adam Green.
Oh, that movie's is problematic because it's got Zachary Levi.
Yeah, I know. And I didn't know that. I had just got this. It wasn't even planned, with everything that just happened.
Boom,
no, but this
canceled.
Boom, canceled now. But this is brand new. This actually comes out. I think I'm losing. Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're glitching out there for a sec, but
yeah, I was gonna say I dropped there, and then I think it came back in. No, this is like a really good movie. It's a bit of a tension builder, slow burning type of movie. I like it. It's very Hitchcockian. It's very much in the vein of Hitchcock. It's essentially about this guy, Joel David Moore, who also co-directs it with Adam Green. And by the way, I talked to Adam Green, and that conversation was freaking awesome. I cannot wait to show that on my channel. He's the director of the Hatchet movies and some other stuff. So it was great. But anyways, Joel David Moore is this weird, awkward guy. Surprise, surprise, if you've ever seen any of his movies. He's quiet. He works at like an insurance company. Zachary Levi is his best friend. He's like the cool kid, the cool guy. You can tell they grew up together, but he's a little bit of a, I want to say like a businessman yuppie. Zachary Levi guy's character is, and Joel David Moore's character is very quiet, very loner, very weird. He's an artist, and he bumps into this girl named Amber on a bench, and they strike up a friendship, and he starts painting her. And as the movie progresses, it feels like one of those indie sort of like, oh, this is a romance type movie, but no, it's got this very dark undertone to the whole movie because Joel David Moore's character is an unreliable narrator. He sees things and he thinks he's done things, and maybe there's been a murder, maybe there's not been a murder. So it's very tension building to where, like, when because I really like this movie, I really, really enjoy this movie. It's like this very tension building because when it finally gets to the end, which I'm not going to spoil, and it pops off, it is well worth the wait. It is I love this movie. It's a great movie. It's a good suspense type movie. And I say, if you're a fan of like Psycho, if you're a fan of like Rear Window, if you're a fan of like I said, the Hitchcock movies or those older movies like that, you will be a fan of this movie. It is very character driven, and the characters are all interesting. And because you really, when you're watching this movie, you come to care for each character in the movie. So you're like, when it pops off, you kind of, that's another way it scares you, is because like you don't want anything bad to happen to any of these characters, and you want to kind of hope that maybe what Joel's character is seeing isn't real. You know what I mean? Because you kind of want everybody to have a happy ending, and it's that's about as far as I'm going to go with that. But this just came out from Run and Flicks. Actually, it's due out October 8th. This is not out. I pre-ordered this, so I got it early. but it comes out October 8th. It's actually fairly cheap. It's not very expensive. So Zachary Levi is awesome in this movie. He's really good. He's one of the executive producers on this, and he is on the special features with the cast talking about the movie because this is a brand new Blu-ray of this movie. This movie came out in 2007. Yeah, it's all on there. So if you're curious about this movie, I do recommend it. I do recommend it. It's only 91 minutes long, and if you can handle, I hesitate to say a slow burn, because people hate when you say that and they hear the word slow burn and they're like, oh, well, I can't watch this. So yes, it does take a beat before you start getting into it. But when you get into it, you become really invested in these characters and wonder how it's going to play out. And that's what a movie's supposed to do, right? Keep your attention and wonder what's going to happen with the characters. So I was happy about that. But yeah, I figured I was the only one that's seen this movie other than maybe Randall Brad. So I'm glad you've seen it, and I'm looking forward to sharing my interview with Adam Green with you guys as soon as I figure out how to do that and how to get it up, because that was supposed to be part of my Halloween special. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my friend to make sure he's all good in North Carolina before we figure out what we're going to do. But there you guys go. Spiral. Ronin Flicks just came out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good old Chuck.
Yeah, he's in it.
Like that.
It's a very different character. That's like, he even talks about that on the thing. He's like, because in special features, he's like, I typically play the good guy. He says, I typically play good guys. In this movie, he's a bit of a prick, right?
Well, good on him.
And you wonder why he's kind of hanging out with this guy, because he's like, oh, he's just hanging out with this guy to make himself feel better. But like I said, I don't want to spoil the ending. When he gets to the ending, you come to see who all three of these characters really truly are, and you love all three characters.
Whoa.
In my opinion, is because such great character development, such great, like the ending, it's so well worth it in my book. Yeah, well, according to Whoopi Goldberg, no, his career isn't over. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Whoopi Goldberg thinks his career's over.
No, Zachary Levi, his career is probably over now. It probably is, because he endorsed the political candidate that you're not allowed to endorse in Hollywood, because heaven forbid you have a different opinion than the Hollywood elites.
I feel like Levi will be okay though. He's surprisingly one of the more charismatic ones.
That's fine. His career's gone. It doesn't matter. He endorsed the other guy. It's over.
I'd be curious to see that play out that way. I don't know. He's one of the bigger as far as
they're already trashing him
to do that.
They're already trashing him.
Well, Whoopi Goldberg's not going to hire him.
No, it's more than her. It's like I'm sure he'll get jobs, but he won't be in. You will not see him in any more big budget movies. You just won't.
Maybe.
I would say probably not. I would say that. I wouldn't hold your breath.
It's like I think that what you're saying is a likely thing to happen, but I would be curious because somebody like him, I would not expect somebody like him to be vocal about it, and he's not your typical one that they could try to label as something like, oh, you're one of those that are also, oh, you're just like he's. I don't know if they have anything on him other than he just has endorsed him. So it
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they have anything on him or not.
I'm just saying that's what the test will be. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Rook, but I think it's. I mean, it doesn't mean he's not going to do work. It doesn't mean he's not still going to be in the public eye. It doesn't mean he's still not going to be a celebrity, because he will.
Well, then his career's not over. Like, I just feel like that's
his Hollywood career is over. His Hollywood career is over, plain and simple. Will he still be able to be in movies and stuff? Yes, but that's not Hollywood. Because as we learned, there's things called independent films and independent companies that will hire people like that, but they will not be big budget Hollywood-backed films. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying that's typically. I mean, you could look at pretty much any actor or actresses that have stepped outside of that all their
No, I know.
careers have
I know.
been.
I'm not. I'm familiar with all that stuff. I'm familiar with this whole game. I'm in this
And
sphere. I know.
me personally, I do not care who you vote for. I don't care what political. I try not to get political out of here at all. I'm just a guy who loves movies, right? So nobody wants to know my politics, and I don't plan on saying my politics or anything like that. So I don't care who you endorse. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you, whatever you feel, that's fine. I'm just here to talk movies. So.
I'm just curious if it will be to that degree as you're saying.
I
think it's highly likely to be, as you said. I agree that it'll be more likely to be, but this will be a true test of that statement of how high the canceling would go for somebody right now who's at a pretty high end of his game right now. With his career, I would say
not necessarily because his last 2 movies is flopped.
Yeah, well, even though the last 2 movies flopped, I don't think a lot of people have soured on Zachary Levi at all.
I think you might want to look into that a little bit. No, people like us and normal people, probably on both sides of the political spectrum in America, have not soured on Zachary Levi. The people in Hollywood who control what he can and cannot make in their world have soured on him.
Okay, yeah, well,
I'm not, because I'm sure tons of people love Zachary Levi across America. It doesn't matter what political party you're on. But anyways, yeah, that's a sidetrack. That's not even what I want to talk about at all. But no, if you've never seen the movie Spiral, I do recommend the movie Spiral. It's a good movie. It's a really good suspense thriller movie that it leads to a great conclusion. So this is a time of year, if you're into one of those movies, it works well. It works very well. So especially if you're like I said, if you're a fan of it says it on the back and everything. If you're a fan of Hitchcock, it works. This is one of those type of movies. So I recommend it. But anyways, let's go to you, Rook, for your final pick of the night.
For my final pick, I did something very rare, everybody. I watched 8 films. Magical music of shock and everything. Randomly, because I've been watching Elm Street and
for fuck's
Jason,
sake, I thought it was going to be Friday the 13th. I'm out.
No. So I'm going to finish those, of course, but I took a break. I took a little break with those. Just randomly was like, just a buddy and I were like, have you seen some conversation was about Harry Potter, and then it was like, did you see the last one that they did? No, and he didn't either. It's like, it's been over 10 years since either of us saw the movies, so we're like, okay, shit, let's just watch these, rewatch these. And so now I finally seen all of them, seen the last one as of today. This is like one of the ones I was of the age group that grew up with it while she was writing the books and while they're making the movies, read the books and watched the movies and stuff. So one of those kids, mid-90s kid and stuff, but I was never as into Harry Potter as I was Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and other stuff. It was always one of those ones that's like, yeah, I like it, but anyway, I'm going to do other stuff now and whatnot. So coming at it from a modern perspective with it, there's 8 films, so it's not like I'm going to go through all of them. That'll bore everyone to death with it. But just fresh off of watching them, if I were to rank them, little tough to decide entirely. Maybe I'd think about it more and it'd be different. I surprisingly thought the 6th one was kind of the best. There's a lot of really good scenes in there, a lot of good character stuff. One? Half-Blood Prince. That one had a lot of good character stuff. That one seemed like it figured out the type of tone to go with it. They touched on a few magic-based
totally
things.
Not the movie I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a mystery about somebody tracking down somebody over bloody prints.
Okay.
Like fingerprints.
Yeah, prints. Yeah, I got you. That sounded funny. No, the following movies are about tracking shit down. That's for sure. No, but I don't know. So
I've never seen an entire Harry Potter in my entire life.
I got you. You're of the age group where I would bet you would have if like your kids really liked it or something.
I watched like 10 seconds of it. I'm like, what the hell? Shit.
Yeah, and I get that entirely. There's a lot of stuff throughout this where it's kind of like you have these magical things, you can grow bones back and all this stuff, but you can't like fix your eyesight enough to not wear glasses. But it's like an aesthetic thing, probably. I don't know. There's like some things like it's magic, but shut up, okay? Like that's what a lot of the stuff is. Especially like they have a thing where you can peer into your memories, but they can't tell if you're lying or not sometimes unless you have like a truth potion that's hard to make or some, there's shit like that. But whatever. It's magic. Kind of hard to fully nail it down to something. But if I were to rank them myself, I'd put 6 as number 1, the first one as number 2, the Chamber of Secrets as number 3, Azkaban as number 4, Order of the Phoenix is 5 as it slots in there, Goblet of Fire is 6, and the last 2 I felt like they're okay, but there was a lot of pacing and a lot of
if I remember, it's one book into 2 movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of pacing issues with it for me. I was kind of like, man, I feel like we're here a little too long with a lot of stuff and doing some silly things. And I'm like, I mean, I guess it's funny, but I feel like we're really wasting time as far as it goes. I mean, they're doing things like, okay, I can see why they would want to remake this as a TV show. I feel like it would fit better to get all the things that you want them to be based on the source material into a series would work better probably because they kind of bulldoze through each year in the films. So, I mean, I think it would make more sense as a TV show personally. I don't know how the chat feels with these. I know they all vary in ages as well and interest. Some probably read the books alone or not at all, nothing with them. I totally get it.
I'd probably say, in my analytics, man, I skew older. So like most of my people are older.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, but I mean, if they have family or, I assume it was a very popular thing in the mid 2000s and stuff. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, the films, I don't know how do you talk about 8 movies all at once? That's a tough one. The tone changes a lot throughout the films. The first one is the most, I'd say, whimsical and the most like, it's like, what you would expect kind of like a wizarding world to be as they introduce you to all these different things and whatnot. And then the tone gets increasingly darker as it goes. I feel like even by the 6th one, this was sort of an issue. It was like the coloring, like they're in like a room and I was like, are we in a flashback? Because the color was just like gone, but this was just like the way it looked. And I was like, wow, man, they like really fade. Like the blue, my blue would look almost black or something, like with some of the like fade filter or something on the screen. I was like, man, I don't prefer the super dark filter necessarily. No, that to me kind of ruins it a little bit. But I mean, if it was used more to highlight certain specific colors, reds or something, that'd be one thing, but I didn't really get that impression too much. Snape, of course, a lot of people, I don't know what people tend to think about him when they think about him over the whole series, but I like him. I love the way he talks, his personality. It makes sense why he hates this kid, but also why he protects him and stuff and looks after him. There's what do I just talk about out of the blue? There's one scene in The Prisoner of Azkaban where they go under the Whomping Willow and they meet Sirius Black. They have Lupin there. They have Pettigrew down there. They've got Sirius Black down there. I used to hate that scene when I was younger, but seeing it now, there's so much detail and information and character stuff that gets kind of placed into there from things that have been built throughout this film and previous films, and also more gets added to that scene once you see the other films, and so like that scene becomes super substantive like through watching all the movies, which is kind of interesting. Like some scenes become more impactful with as it goes, like, but yeah, the Phoenix is like a Deus Ex bird in Chamber of Secrets, I feel. If I'm just giving out random opinions here, man, this thing comes in, takes out the eyes of the huge snake that he's got to battle. It drops the sorting hat that also makes the Gryffindor sword appear, and it also like comes in, heals his wounds so that he doesn't die, and then also brings him Ron, Gilderoy, and brings everybody out of the Chamber of Secrets. This bird is just able to do all this shit, and is like, man, what? Like just a lot of over importance on that bird. I don't know why. Just kind of at the end, but
I don't know. I don't know.
There's a huge battle at the castle, which I think would have been it's okay for what it is, but I kind of wish there was more creative magical stuff going on that they could have done, but it just kind of looked like I'm pointing my wand and there's an explosion and here's this and that, lots of lights, and I don't know. It like a lot of the creative magic stuff kind of becomes lessened the more it becomes I'm trying to get you right now kind of a thing, which I prefer if they try to be more creative with their environment. Finishing it, okay. I'm trying to condense 8 films I just watched into a few things to mention about
fair
them.
enough.
So there's that. Yeah. I hate Dobby. Fuck Dobby. Everybody loves Dobby. The house elf is annoying to me. I love Harry Potter. Dobby is your best friend. Blah 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 blah. Shut up. I'm glad he died. I was so that was a great ending of part 7 of number 7, part 1. His death. Oh, thank you. I was like, get him out of here. He was barely in the series, but when he was, I'm rolling my eyes. He's annoying to me. They do a lot of weird things with relationships in this. Like they introduce a couple of things that would make more sense to happen, and then just kind of let them go. When Harry ends up being with Ginny, it's kind of like, why? Like she has like almost no dialogue at the first 5 movies, let alone with Harry. And it's like, I don't know, man. He seems to have more in common with like Luna or with Hermione or with whatever. There's other people you can pick out of the bunch that is not Ginny. I don't know why that's what J.K. Rowling thought was the matchup of the century there. I don't know, just whatever. I think that's all I'll do for now. I could probably say some more stuff. Cedric Diggory, our Pattinson, our Twilight boy, he's in the 4th one. He does okay, and he's only in it a little bit, and he's the one that gets killed, which I think was a good moment in the thing. I was like, oh, okay, shit, he's just like that. That's like when the Harry Potter went from like, we're a whimsical, funny, doopy. Oh shit, okay, it's a little more serious now, a little bit more serious now. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah. Bellatrix Lestrange is an interestingly annoying yet funny, just like the way I killed Sirius Black. She's crazy. I enjoyed little bits. Lucius Malfoy becomes more of a wuss as it goes. He's introduced really cool. Especially the actor who plays him is really good. But then he just kind of devolves into I'm just around. Okay, do good. I don't know. The Dumbledore. I preferred the first guy they had in the first 2 movies, but that actor died and wasn't able to be in the rest, unfortunately. But that first one, just like really like vision, like that's what you think of when you think of a wizard. Like that's a wizard. The new guy, I didn't like for the first couple of movies, but by the 7th one, I feel like he picked up his role as this wizard. He's able to portray him a little bit better. There's a difference in, I feel, how he portrays the wizard, so portrays Dumbledore. So I think by the last 2, he's able to do it a little bit better. But I don't know if that's what everybody else thinks or not. But
well, he played.
And that's all I could say for just quick spitballing things out here with this. I could say more stuff, but like that's what I'm going to condense it to. And I know that Tom's just loving this. He's got a lot to contribute.
Dude, you know he's seen all 8 of those movies 7 times.
He just doesn't want us to know. He just doesn't want us to know. I get it. And yeah, Maggie Smith just died recently too. Yes, and that was unrelated to me watching these. That was just in the middle.
Just about all the adults from those movies have died.
Yeah,
Maggie Smith, Richard Harris, Alan Rickman, Michael Gambon, the second Dumbledore, Robbie Coltrane, who was the big hairy guy, whatever his name is, John Hurt, who's in it. Yeah, they all and Snape, Alan Rickman,
Yeah, Alan Rickman. Yeah,
greatest role ever played in Die Hard. Hans
dude,
Gruber.
Alan Rickman. I love the way he talks, man. Turn to page 394. Like the way he says any word, equally guilty.
Freaking-
Like I'm just like, I don't know why that's how he speaks. Like if you read him in the books, I doubt that's the voice people would have had if they didn't hear
They
that.
do now.
But now they do, and I love it because it's very distinctive. I can't think of anybody else that talks exactly like how he does with that role. Like, nice.
Tell me you've seen Die Hard, right?
Yeah, of course.
I was gonna say,
Tom and I did a whole watch party series on
Who
that on
says
my
we're
channel early
terrorists?
on. So,
yeah.
and when I
Who
say a
said?
whole watch party series, I've only seen the first two. So,
Hans Gruber is Snape. So
yeah.
Considering part 2 is one of the worst ones, but yeah.
Yeah,
all
no,
the
I
rest seems
agree, and I
fine.
agree because I was like, man, this whole movie is really
Die Hard
doesn't
with
need
a Vengeance
doesn't
is
need Bruce
so
Willis
much
at
better.
all. Yeah, yeah. You told me I still need to watch 3 at some point, and
now
And
you
it has
need
a
to watch.
connection to the first film.
yes, well, and
That
I
isn't
assume it's not,
tangential.
like the second Die Hard was okay. We're talking about Die Hard. If we keep on going down that route, I'll stop.
You need to see Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves now.
I might have seen Prince of Thieves. Let me double check here if I have Prince of Thieves. That's not a parody one, is it? Or is that like the normal one? It's a normal.
That's the one with
Kevin
Kevin
Costner.
Costner.
'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of Robin Hood.
He plays
type
the
of
bad guy in it, and it also has the bad guy, Michael Wincott, in it as well.
Prince
Yeah,
of
great.
Thieves.
Two of the greatest villain actors in the last, 30, 40 years in a movie together.
I haven't seen this. I've seen
You
this
would
cover
like
all
that.
the time. I haven't seen this though. No.
If you like Alan Rickman and I mean, not that it has anything to do with Spartacus, but you like those like epic type of movies, this is one of those epic type of like sword fighting, castles, stuff like that.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, I think because Alan Rickman and Michael Wincott, like Tom said, brilliant, just brilliant bad guys.
Sweet. That's good. Yeah, I will check that out. I don't know why I've seen that cover all the time, but I kept on thinking I saw it, I guess, because I've seen a couple of Robin Hood titles, but I never really pay attention. Okay.
I forgot he was in Quigley Down Under.
Quigley? That's a funny word.
Yeah.
Need to watch Quickly Down Under.
That's a Western with Tom Selleck, I believe. In Australia. All right. Any final words on the Harry Potter series?
I'm trying to scroll through the chat here to see what people are thinking here. Why are all the great British actors leaving us? It's just time, unfortunately, man. It's just the time. Yeah. Unfortunately. What will replace the British once they're gone? I don't know.
More British.
Harry, Puzzy Pothead, Eric. Oh no. Okay. Oh, he's okay. I got you. He's doing an impression of Cartman thing. Brandon Brad liked Harry Potter as a kid. I understand the films. Yeah, not everybody's cup of tea. Yeah, this is one where I feel like a House of Dragon type of approach, but for kids, I guess, because that is the main audience that is for teenagers. I guess is more what it is. I don't see the connection. Like I've heard some people say like that this is like a girls franchise. From it's like I don't like Twilight makes sense for that because it's like all it is. It's like an insert chick and whatever. There's not even like much eye candy in here for a girl either.
I do know a lot of girls do like this. I will say that I have heard that this is a lot of people point to Harry Potter and the stories as sort of the reason where we're at now with people, because Harry Potter is a sense of Gary Sue. He's born special. He's supposed to be special in every way, shape, or form. He's destined to do it and stuff like that. So I've heard people talk about stuff like that. So like,
yeah, I guess I contribute that more to how they portray the Harry Potter world. Like they act like, Voldemort is like the only threat that there can be, essentially. And it's kind of like, I don't know. And, the way that they have Harry, especially in the first couple of movies, like I just said with Fox the Phoenix, like that bird like assists the victory extremely for him, I guess. Like in a way that it's like, oh, he didn't do that with anybody else, and whatever. Okay, yeah, he does get really lucky. He is. I wouldn't say he's Gary Stu, but I'd say if there's anything close to it, he's pretty close to a Gary Stu, like close.
Well, I know he does go through some hardships in the movie, so
yeah. But it's like there are things in it that annoy me, like the time turner in number 3. It's like you have a thing to turn back time, and this dude gives it to a student to do more classes, and it's like, I don't know why this was a mechanic introduced. Honestly, this is already weird. Like now you can go back in time. Like, there's got to be like some type of understandable limitation on things. The only thing that is certain in it is that like that characters can die, which in number 6 was a great scene where he describes something like that, something kind of magical. It's kind of weird, but then how it's still tied to death, just poof. It's like, oh yeah, so okay, like even with all your wizarding powers, all your magical stuff, yeah, you can't stop death, and that's kind of what Voldemort's thing is. He's trying to be immortal. He's got his soul in different places, and that's how he keeps on living. And he's trying to not die, trying to be the only one that can't die. That's essentially like the main motivation for the villain, I guess. But Voldemort is kind of a shitty villain. Like, he really kind of sucks as a villain. There's nothing about him. I think that's why at the very end, at the last movie, I felt kind of I was like, oh, I guess you killed him. Whatever. Like, I felt like once Snape died, I was kind of like, I mean, he wasn't even the villain, but like he was an important character that is interesting and was on either side. You could kind of, I don't know. It just, they did not have really a good villain to end it off. Like Voldemort is just like, I want to get you, Harry, and then I want to rule everything. It's like, I don't know. Just could have been more interesting. Even Vader, like if some people were to say that's what Vader wants, but Vader's like interesting. He does things, behaves interestingly, has good, interesting dialogue. You know, there's a lot more to a character. Voldemort, there's not much to him. He is very thin, very thin.
All right.
Stop it.
All right.
Come on from fucking Harry Potter, Dragonzilla.
All right. Let's go. You good, Rook?
Yeah, we're good. He wants Tom and I to argue about aliens.
What do you got, Tom? What's for you?
We're back.
And we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
All right. I watched Dracula Dead and loving it.
No, there you go.
From Shit Factory.
Nice.
Yeah, it was all right. I like how I mean, Peter McNichols just kind of steals the whole show.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, it's one of Brooks's lesser films. And it kind of shows that it's the last film he directed, so
yeah.
But overall, it's not a horrible film. It's one of the better like parody films, but unfortunately, as far as Mel Brooks goes, it's at the bottom of his barrel. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
I just think one of the biggest problems with the movie is Leslie Nielsen is completely miscast as Dracula. He should have been been Van Helsing. And Mel Brooks shouldn't have been Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the rest of the cast is fine, pretty much. Just that's the two big miscasts, in my opinion. I don't know who you would have got to play Dracula, but yeah, Leslie Nielsen he just not jiving with it.
I do like they blend the Bram Stoker's and the Bela Lugosi one sorted together.
Yeah.
that's
I mean, of course, this came out on the heels of the big, the success
Bram
of
Stoker's,
Bram Stoker. So that's one of the main, inspirations behind it. But it's like it almost feels like it wasn't quite. It was almost like almost feels obligatory more than it does like there was any inspiration to really do it.
Mm-hmm.
Something about it. And I kind of remember feeling that way about it at the time when it came out too. It just kind of something about it felt like, really? After all these years, you're doing it just because and I mean, he barely got away with Robin Hood. So like this was just kind of to me one step a little too far. Although I will say now I mean, I enjoyed it probably more this time watching it than I had the last time I saw it, which was 20 years ago. If not more.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, overall it's fairly decent. But again, we got another situation where I believe Shout Factory just carried over the special features from the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, maybe it didn't. It only has the stereo surround track on here. I could have swore the DVD had a 5.1 mix on it, but yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time. I don't know. Do you have the DVD? I think you do.
So I'm looking to see real quick because I might have it over here on this DVD shelf.
So I remember it being a New Line. I think it's a snapper case at that.
I'm looking. Because the one behind me over on this side is my DVD, some DVDs. I need to go through them and get rid of some of them, to be honest with you, because I got the Blu-rays of them over there. I could have sworn I had that on DVD.
I know you've brought it on before, I think.
No, I don't think I think Runner may brought it on or
maybe
something.
it was Runner. Okay.
Shit. Give me a minute. Talk or
No
something.
worries.
Let me look on this real quick.
No, I mean, it's fun. I mean, it like you said, it's kind of a hybrid of a lot of the different Draculas, but especially because of the being on the heels of Bram Stoker's Dracula, it does draw some inspiration from that. But yeah, no, it's all right. It's about the best.
What's your favorite scene in the movie?
Probably the Harvey Korman, Peter McNichol scene where they're sitting there talking and he keeps putting bugs in his mouth.
Okay.
He's like, "Did you just eat a bug?" No.
So is this just is this like purpose is to like spoof Dracula essentially?
Yeah. It's like it was
like,
a raspberry.
Is
Raspberry? There was no raspberry. You know,
is it spoofing like a specific movie or just like the lore of Dracula in general?
Some of the 31 Dracula, some of the Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then just bits and pieces of other Dracula films here and there, kind of. Because even like Mel Brooks's version of Van Helsing that he's playing is not even the original version. It's one of the Interium films that he's doing for some. So like, yeah, it almost feels like you have people going in 3 different directions with the movies they're trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just for some reason, it just didn't quite jive well. But, you know, you got some people like Peter McNichols and Harvey Korman who clearly know what movie they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some of the rest of the cast who don't quite get the movie they're in. Amy Asbeck is fine in it. She knows what movie she's in. But yeah, anyway, you're back.
Wings. Yeah, I couldn't find it.
He's all right.
He's all right. I couldn't find it, but I did find a unopened, still sealed DVD of Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, nice.
It's not even been open. It's over there. It might be. I might have it in the living room.
No worries. I was just curious because I thought it did, but I could be wrong.
If I find it, I'll tell you.
I don't have much else more to say about it than that.
No, I love it. I like you said, I still quote one of my favorite lines from that today is Renfield, you asshole.
Yeah. I mean, one of the other better scenes is when, I mean, even though it's Leslie Nielsen, it's just the scene works because, you know, he's got control over Mina and there's that fucking maid in the room. So he's like, "Get up, walk toward the window." Not you. Yeah, that's between that and the bug scene are the 2 of the better scenes.
Yeah, and I do like the scene when they're staking her in the heart and all the blood keeps spraying out.
Yeah, I see. My problem with that was I seen it coming from a mile away.
Yeah,
that's the problem with this movie is the audience is one step ahead of every joke.
It's a little dated. Before
it's like you kind of already know exactly where every joke is going to go to the point where like even the trailer had a hard time showing scenes that weren't lame. Nah, Rook, have you ever seen the movie or no?
No, I haven't. I didn't know there was all these who's the main actor in it? You said?
Well, it's a Mel Brooks film, but Leslie Nielsen is the male.
Right, Leslie Nielsen. I haven't seen many Nielsen movies.
Okay.
Honestly.
I mean, we might be able to get away with showing the trailer, but I mean, I mean, the trailer pretty much shows you everything you need to see.
Yeah, it shows it right off the bat.
It's not like it really hides much.
Usually trailers are good as long as it doesn't have copyright music, because like it's quick.
The music gets it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. I'd have to see here. Let me.
And if there's
actually, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, especially if there's like a voiceover, it really helps.
Usually older trailers that I've never had much trouble with older trailers. It's usually
older
newer
ones.
shit.
Yeah.
Or specific ones that have music in them, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble either.
That's fine.
I'm trying to find it because I have it downloaded here.
I do think maybe. Go ahead.
Need it for our Nosferatu retrospective.
Oh yeah, they do. Don't they do some nice? Yeah, like the end of that is
vicariously because of Dracula. Yeah, we'll get to that though.
Yeah. I do think Mel Brooks was starting to wear a little thin by the time Dracula come along. It was maybe time for him to.
He doesn't have the same guys he used to work with too, and not only that, this one I think of all his movies has like the most writers credited as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another problem. Like, and yeah, like I said, I stand by. It just felt too like it almost feels like it's obligatory, but not in a sense like it should have happened. It's like they shouldn't have done it.
Right.
This is the frightening and shocking tale of Count Dracula.
Of course he's going to hit his head. That's what I mean. Like,
the
audience is always one step ahead of the joke.
Vampires
I already
do
assumed
exist.
that.
That's what I mean,
This one we face is unlike.
And of course she's going to shut the
other.
window. And he's going to ram into
I
it.
hate
He
face
can
against the
change
glass.
the most innocent of humans.
Oh, Jonathan, let me kiss you.
But you see, I'm British.
Oh, this is one of the funnier scenes. So with these, that was
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Women are
yeah.
rendered
Let's go.
powerless under his spell.
Stand up.
yeah. See, and here's
Yeah.
that.
Not you. Sit. You stand. No, sit. No, stand. Now, walk to the terrace door.
It is a good
Watch
scene.
out.
That is
His
a good one.
evil desire
This is one of the better scenes.
has no end.
She's alive? She's
This-
Nosferatu.
She's Italian?
She's Italian?
Make no mistake, he must be stopped. Leslie Nielsen,
That's a good one.
Peter McNichol,
He's
Stephen
just so
Weber.
brilliant.
He's
Amy
great.
Yazbek, Lizette Anthony, Harvey Korman, and Mel Brooks.
If she dies, a victim of this unspeakable creature, she will become one herself. What? She will become one herself.
See, it's just some of it's kind of cringe.
Dead
Yeah.
and loving it.
It's good to be dead.
What year was this?
94, 95, I think.
Okay.
That's why I'm surprised it doesn't have a 5.1 mix. I'm like, this movie's way too new not to have a. Yeah, 95.
Yeah. 95. I mean, yes, it has some really good funny parts, but it also does have some like outdated stuff to it, you know. that
Unfortunately,
doesn't
like
feel
as you saw what I was saying there, Rook, like you can almost project the jokes before they happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate the face against the glass things. They did that in a few of the Harry Potter ones too. It's like, oh, cringe. Don't do that ever. Stop it. Forever. Forever now and forever. Those aren't funny.
But I mean, Lynette
Some of those
Anthony
were
was,
kind of funny. She's like, I'm British. So are these.
yes, it is.
Yeah, that was a
I don't
good
know why
one.
that.
That's
There's
a
a few
that was
good bits
great.
like
And then the
there's a
look on
few
his face-
classic lines
Look on his
like that
face
one.
too. Like he's like, oh.
She's dead. No, she's Nosferatu. She's Italian. Like that. Like some of those lines are classic Mel Brooksy kind of things, but like the rest of the stuff, though, for the most part, is just kind of like cringe. It's like when it's not funny, it's cringe as fuck. But when it is on, it's on. Like when you were away, Greg, I said one of the other better scenes is when Peter McNichols is with Harvey Korman and he's eating the bugs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then, like you could definitely tell those guys know what movie they're in, right?
Mhm. Yeah. And Peter McNichols does great Renfield because he even gets the down right, and it works too because, like you said, it's just like he steals the show, and it's
steals
great.
the show. Yeah. Well, and he,
Yeah.
of course, he is one of those kind of actors who does steal just about everything he's in. Usually,
Yeah. Even babies in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, Ghostbusters 2 being, one of the primary examples of, he's one of the best parts, if not the best part of that film. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
just want you to know that whatever you're doing is completely wrong.
Yeah, Harvey Korman was a goat. Yeah. Now I want to watch Munchies. Speaking of Harvey Korman, now I want to watch Munchies.
No, he's great in it. Like I said, like everybody but basically Mel Brooks and Leslie Nielsen are the two standout duds in the film. Otherwise, everybody else is fine. It's just the stuff they're given to work with. Mel Brooks is just too much in Mel Brooks mode.
Yeah.
And Leslie Nielsen, like we both agreed, and everybody says the same thing, so I can't be wrong, that he should have been
yeah, he should have
Van
been
Helsing instead,
yeah.
and then you get somebody else to play Dracula. I mean, I don't know who, but I mean, especially if you're trying to go with the mix between like the Francis Ford Coppola and Leslie Nielsen's too fucking old no matter what version he's playing. That's the other problem. So yeah, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah. It's not that Leslie Nielsen himself is not a dud. He was a dud as the character.
No. As the character, just poorly cast.
Yeah,
poorly cast.
He definitely probably should have been Van Helsing.
Yeah, yes, Van Helsing, he'd have been fine, and that's what I mean. The reasoning behind that is he's great as the Exorcist character in Repossessed, right? Like,
yes,
so that's similar lines, right? You stick with that, and then you get somebody else to play. I wouldn't know. Like I said, I don't know who to play Dracula at that point.
I don't know.
Shit, even Adam Sandler, young Adam Sandler would have been funnier because you could have really played with the Jewish aspect. And that's the other thing I can't believe that, Mel didn't lean into much in this one. Like, there's no Jewish jokes whatsoever. It's like, it almost doesn't feel like a Mel Brooks movie without at least one or two. Like,
yeah, because he always has that because he's a Jew. So
yeah, it's just always a thing, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but you're not wrong. I mean, as far as parodies go, it's a decent parody, but it's on the lower scale of Mel Brooks movies.
It is. It's probably one of his worst.
Yeah.
Especially as far as his parody films go.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the worst. So yeah.
Mel Brooks has non-parody films?
Yes.
Like what?
Life Stinks.
History of the World, book 1.
No, that's a parody film-ish.
Well, yeah, because they do like parody of 10 Commandments and all that stuff.
He actually produced things like The Fly.
Yeah, he did.
Really?
Yeah, The Producers, I wouldn't consider that a parody film. That's
The
straight
Producers was original. Yeah. 12
He's done a few. Yeah. I mean, of course, he's produced things like Elephant Man as well.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because, believe it or not, his family is actually into horror. Like, his son wrote World War Z.
Really?
Yes, his son wrote the book, World War Z. So they're like actually into horror stuff. Like, so he's into that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. To be or not to be. I'm serious, and don't call me Shirley. I like that. I was just trying to think of, like, Life Stinks is good. I like Life Stinks. It's not one of his better movies, but it's fun.
It's just a standard comedy.
Yeah. I mean, Blazing Saddles. How do we forget Blazing Saddles?
Well, no, that's his best.
Yeah, that's an original non-parody. Well,
no, it's a parody of all the Western films.
The Westerns, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. He's got either he'll either make fun of a genre or he'll make fun of a specific movie, but usually it's the genre. Mm-hmm. Like, the exception being like Young Frankenstein and Robin Hood, or like the two that in the middle there where it wasn't just, even though Spaceballs, you're like, oh, it's no, he throws a lot of sci-fi in there. Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, it's all there.
I guess
he's even a 2001 joke in there probably. I don't even remember, but.
Yeah, I guess I meant like a non-spoof, non-comedy. If it seems like comedy,
he's never done just a straightforward movie drama. No, he's produced them.
Okay,
but
I can believe that he makes.
I can believe that he makes and things like that are all still.
Yeah,
they're still comedies.
I got you. I can believe that. I can believe that. That's why I was curious when you said non-spoof. I was like I was imagining, I guess, like Jim
High
Carrey,
Anxiety's a
like
spoof of all the Hitchcock films.
Yeah,
of
like
course.
Vertigo and everything.
Jim Carrey's in like he's in a couple of like totally goofy movies.
I mean, if it
like,
wasn't for
what?
like silent film, this would be the worst of it. Silent film is the only one of his movies I just couldn't get through.
Yeah.
Or silent movie, I mean.
Yeah.
Just something about, I don't know. I have to try it again. It's been years. I just probably wasn't in the right mood, but I'm just like, this is just not working for me. I get the joke, but I'm like, this doesn't feel so much like a comedy as it's just a loving homage to silent film.
Yeah. Did he make the TV show The Nut House? I don't know. I don't know about that one.
No, but the only show I know that he had really anything to do with would have been the Spaceballs TV show, and that's the less we say about that, the better.
Spaceballs TV show. You're
Spaceballs, the television
You're
show.
shitting me.
No, it was a cartoon.
You're telling a joke.
Nope.
What?
It was real and it was a cartoon.
What? No, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, it was real.
Imaginary. You're pulling my chain.
Nope, it was real. It's real.
Okay.
It is. It's real, and it is. And you know, they even do a Dark Helmet episode where he's like Anakin Skywalker from the prequels.
I guess I can see like
that's the first episode. Yeah,
I guess I can see how they could do that with Spaceballs, but like compared to other spoofs, like these have,
Jesus, Hank was right on that shit. Hank dropping it out on Twitter. He's like, it's true. It's damn true.
He gets a quick.
Like, well, it's funny because like I know of the holiday special. I never heard of Spaceballs, a TV show, which is what George Lucas would rather it be, where nobody's heard of the holiday special. But how many people have known about this? Nobody's ever mentioned animated Spaceballs.
Yeah, no holiday special whatsoever.
Nobody's ever mentioned Spaceballs animated ever.
It was on. I think it was put on G4 near the end of G4, and I think it was when it like in works for years. Just
like the 2010-ish area, like around there.
No, it was like 2001 or 2, somewhere in there. Yeah, 2003. So it was still like mid G4.
G4 was around for a little while.
It was before Code Monkeys, I think, or right around the same time. But Code Monkeys took off, and Spaceballs did not.
Yeah,
I've heard of Code Monkeys. Yeah.
But no, it only got one season. I know that I think Mel Brooks had been trying to get something off the ground for Spaceballs for a while. Because, as I think I brought up here and many other places before, Spaceballs is his #1 video seller. I know most people would think it'd be Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein. Nope. Spaceballs. But if you stop and think about it, it makes sense considering how many Star Wars fans there are. And Star Trek fans.
Well, and again, I'd say they do enough things in it that make it enjoyable, even if you've never seen those movies. Like you can enjoy it as a movie without knowing
to a point, yes, but I think the reason it's his #1 seller of all time is just because of the Star Wars factor.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, you got to remember, before Disney bought Star Wars was the #1 thing ever, period.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Star Wars. Just
everywhere. Star Wars.
The first 3 movies were in the top 10 fucking films forever, and then the prequels come out and they were in the top 10. So like there was a long time where like a large portion of the top 10 or 20 highest grossing films of all time were all Star Wars movies. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Seems like ancient times now, man.
I know, but no, like at one point Star Wars was like #1 and then got dumped down to #2 because of E.T. But Empire and Jedi were both also in the top 10 for many years, or at least a handful. Wow. And then they got pushed out. And then the episode 1 did make the top 10, I believe. And then episode 2 and 3 were in the top 20 as well, or somewhere in there in the top 10 for a while until like the Marvel movies and Avatars and Titanic.
Well, did The Force Awakens make top 10?
The Force Awakens is the highest grossing film of all time.
That was like 2.5.
Or wait, Endgame is now, but it's #2 now.
Well, yeah. Right.
I thought Avatar is like part 2 is now the highest grossing.
No, I don't think. No, that didn't make more than the first one. The first Avatar is down to like #5, I think now, because all these Marvel movies, you got like, I think the top 5 goes something like, I could be wrong with a little bit of the order, but somebody correct me if they want to. I think the top order goes Endgame, Force Awakens, Infinity War. I don't maybe Avatar then, but I think there's something else that beat Avatar.
I think there was.
And then Spider-Man No Way Home, I think. And no, that's not as high as one of the other. Wait. The problem is there's been so many in the last 10 years.
I was about to say, yeah, there's been a lot
I
of
used to know
billion.
the top 10, and whenever a movie would get added to the top 10, I would remember because it was
they'd
easy
rarely,
to remember.
They rarely
change,
bump,
yeah.
But now they've bumped a bit, yeah. It's kind of sad though. It's like, look at how much, like,
and maybe Titanic. Yeah, I think Avatar's bigger than Titanic, so then it'd be probably like whatever than Titanic and Avatar or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless of
Avatar
what
and
people
Titanic.
think, regardless of what people think of like Titanic or Avatar, though, it's like it's like look at what it takes to beat them. Like you got Infinity War. Like it takes the huge multi-movie franchise, huge star, huge pop culture thing to.
If you inflate the other movies around it and deflate the modern, if you got them at the same angle, like none of these films would be. It'd
be a big different, be different lists entirely.
Yeah. Okay. So this still has Avatar listed as number 1. So probably, I guess, worldwide because of the re-release, it bumped it up, I guess. So now it is back to number 1, barely over Endgame. Then Avatar 2, you were right. It did better than I thought. Then Titanic, then Force Awakens. But Force Awakens, that's wrong because Force Awakens made like 2.5.
Yeah.
This must be the U.S. box office.
Yeah, I was about to, is there like a typical cutoff?
Maybe,
time
and then okay, so then and then number 5 is Force Awakens, then Infinity War, then Spider-Man No Way Home. So I wasn't far off.
Well, so is there like a cutoff time that where they count all that stuff? Like,
no,
were there in theaters, or is it always updated?
No, and that was where for a while you had a couple times where Star Wars actually bumped back up to number 1, and then Titanic knocked it off the top.
Well, so like, you saying like when they're out of theaters, they bump up, or
when they re-release them?
Well, okay, because so I thought this was in terms of I guess I thought this was in terms of box office or something.
Okay, let me explain. Okay, so Star Wars was released in 1977. There was theaters that movie didn't leave for 2 years. Like there was theaters that got like posters, special posters that had shown it for a year straight, like never left. Right? Okay, so. That movie, the original film, when it first came out, made so much fucking money, it's not even funny. Mm-hmm. Then E.T. beat it. Okay? Then in 1997, George re-released them to theaters. They added that box office to that, hence it bumped it back. And at that point, Spielberg had beat himself with Jurassic Park. So the top 3 films were like E.T. or Jurassic Park, E.T., and Star Wars. And then after George re-released Star Wars, it bumped it back up to number 1, and it stayed number 1 until that December when fucking Titanic came out. Because they counted that box office because it was theatrical box office, and even though they were the quote-unquote special editions, at that point they counted it all as one as the same. And so Star Wars had been re-released at least a half a dozen times in between there on top of it all.
Do you think that should count for like the original release?
I don't.
Theaters? That sounds like a weird manipulation.
Yeah,
I agree.
On a list.
It's what Endgame actually did to become the number 1.
Exactly.
Movie.
And Exorcist has bounced around a few times because of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, are all these counting international or just the U.S.?
See, that's the other problem I have with these lists.
That sounds weird too, because I feel like
back in the day, international was way different than it is now. So like the last 10, 15 years, international and US are like neck and neck, same and same. Fine, you can do that. But that's not fair to older films because we don't know the foreign on some of these older films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Superman 2 is a good example where we don't know the worldwide box office on that. Mm-hmm. And I don't go by what they say because if you go by what they say, the movie didn't make any money. And I know that ain't true.
Yeah, that ain't true at all.
Okay.
Isn't like Gone with the Wind one of the like the highest?
If you want to go by ticket sales, that's a better way to do it. Just go by actual ticket sales. Then the list is much different. Then it goes like, it's like Gone with the Wind, Godfather, Star Wars, Jaws, stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess I never usually look at lists like I never usually look at lists like this specifically, but I assume that somebody out there has organized them like in a way like you just said, like with ticket sales or.
But then you have to look at it. Is it fair then for the modern films then, because classic films like some of those ones we just mentioned, until video was invented, movies would just constantly get re-released in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying. So that's why I asked if there was a time frame initially, like that we would count, like a typical.
No, they count all of it as one, like in one pot. So like it'll shift around and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess I mean, like, is there like is there a shortest amount of time a movie is in a theater, like a minimum?
Oh, there's been movies that have come and gone and done nothing, that have made literally just thousands of dollars. Yeah.
But so I mean, like, is it? Are they after 2 days, a week, 3 weeks, a month? Like, is there a minimum cutoff date that they must leave?
No. Movie keeps playing, it'll play forever.
Mm-hmm.
You have a contract with the studio, you have to play it as long as it says. But in most cases, like if a movie flops, it gets pulled that first weekend. Like look at The Crow as a recent example, right? So most theaters got dumped after the first weekend.
Well, I guess because based on that, I would assume that like larger studios that can afford to keep certain movies in the theaters longer would abuse that in a way, right?
No, it's more about what's making
longer.
money. I mean, sometimes there's contracts with some of that stuff, but that's usually the bigger movies anyway, so it doesn't matter. So it's just
Is it more like maybe if their movie isn't making a certain percentage for a few days in a row, then they choose to
kind of now they go just kind of like
pull it out.
It used to just be it all depended on how much a movie made. Nowadays it has like Universal, they all do pretty much no matter what the movie does. They do the 36 days it's going to streaming type thing.
Yep.
Regardless. Warner Brothers, a lot of theirs are the 45 days, et cetera now. No, it used to be if a movie was big, it would play forever. Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit didn't come out on video for 2 years.
Yeah.
E.T. didn't come out on video until Steven Spielberg knew that over, like, I can't remember how many million VHS players he wanted sold. So, like, no, at that point, those movies were still considered theatrical films. You couldn't just watch them. They weren't even, E.T. wasn't even on fucking TV yet.
Right. Well, no. So I know that the older films were like that, but I'm saying currently, is there like
no? They can keep a movie in there as long as they want, one way or another. I guess. I mean, it just depends on if the theater is going to hang on to it that long.
Because, like, I'm wondering,
they're only obligated for the first whatever their initial contract is for.
It's like I'm wondering if you guys know of any modern in the last 10 years, like a movie that was in the theaters for like the longest amount of time you could think of.
Probably Star Wars or Endgame, like Greg was saying, because like Force Awakens, the last one I remember where theaters were still like really obligated to hold on to it for like 12 weeks in the big theaters and shit like that. Same thing with like some of the Marvel movies and stuff like that. So in those cases, yes, they are obligated. They keep them in the theaters that long, but it's not like that costs the studios much of anything anymore. Like the studios, the distribution costs compared to what they used to be aren't shit. Because it's all digital now.
Yep.
The amount of money that they used to have to spend on a reel and then to send out over 1,500 reels on a weekend.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking millions of dollars in comparison now. It's to where now it's just they put a movie out there, it doesn't work.
They run the film too much and fade it out or something.
Well, there's that too. They all eventually get damaged and whatever, and then they send them to secondary theaters and then they send them to other theaters, so it just and then by the time they would get to some of the smaller theaters, that's where you get the rundown prints. Yeah.
Good night, Brian Barth.
Night, Brian. Yeah, sorry if my questions kind of took things off the rail.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm just
bit.
Trying to think of how to answer them to where you understand. I mean, there's not a set thing. The only thing that's ever been kind of a set thing is that theaters refuse to carry films that up until COVID, they refused to carry films that were on video or television at the same time they were in theaters.
Yeah. Now it's doesn't matter.
Well, I just find it funny because, like, based on what you're saying, a studio could like make a deal with a theater. They could have an old movie put in the theater right now, right? Like if they wanted to.
I mean, they do. They do. They do the Cinemark. What not the Cinemark?
Fathom and other stuff.
Fathom events where they're actually showing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 50th anniversary is coming back to theaters this month. Which that total will be added to its box office.
Episode 1 came back to theaters not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year it was or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just assuming
it was this year.
Like I would just assume that like if
it's anniversary.
like studios put a voting thing online to see what movies people would want to see in theaters or something for a
No, they
little
don't give a
while.
fuck about that.
Like
Yeah,
I was just saying,
yeah.
like this would be an immediate. Well, now you can see like almost and not an equivalent, but like you'd have a good idea of people that would be
They
likely
used to
go
pull
out and see a
shenanigans
movie.
like if you want this movie, you got to carry this movie too.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
like famously, talking of Star Wars, the original Star Wars, the studio had no faith in it so much, and they weren't getting any rentals for it, that they decided that if you wanted what they thought was going to be their big hit of the season, Other Side of Midnight, which was based on a best-selling novel at the time, they're like, if you want Other Side of Midnight, you got to take Star Wars. So there was only 25 theaters that Star Wars opened up on originally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Because they didn't think it was going to be a hit. And then those showings sold out, and they're like, oh shit. So then they started widening, more wide, and then the movie just kept playing and playing and playing and playing and playing. And he was still technically in theaters in some places, still going from its original run by the time Empire Strikes Back came out 3 years later.
Yeah. I mean, and to like his point though, like even like movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th, those movies would travel. And that's how you can't really isn't there like some discrepancy with the Friday the 13th box office because those movies and like the people that owned them or whatever?
I think you're thinking of Halloween.
Am I thinking of Halloween maybe? Because they would travel from state to state because sometimes
because they only had a couple prints of Halloween originally, and most people didn't see Halloween until like 1979 or 80.
Yeah, it was in theaters for years because of that. Because it would okay, it's going to play in this state for this amount of time, and then we're going to.
I think
move
it started in
like
Kentucky or something like that, and like they just go to one city and they'd show all 2 or 3 reels in one city at the different theaters.
That's crazy.
For a couple of weeks, and then they'd move on to another city, and then, eventually they got more money so they could make more prints.
Right, but that's still I kind of like that. That's the
So by the time you get to Halloween 79, I think it actually got more of a proper release by that point. But yeah, I mean, that movie didn't hit video till probably 82, 81, probably same time as Halloween did, or the sequel, I mean.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, those kind of movies would just keep playing and playing and playing. And video didn't really become a big thing until 83, 84. Like 85 is when it really was kind of getting huge. But even before then, the studios were still kind of leery. Even Star Wars didn't come to home video until 82.
Yeah.
And you couldn't buy it then. It was just a rental.
Yeah.
It even said rental copy only on the case.
Yep.
But people would conveniently lose them or get broke, quote unquote.
Yeah, I lost it. I don't know what happened.
People would pay $100. Now think about that with inflation. Now, people would pay $100 for Star Wars in 1982
on like a beta
on VHS and beta.
Yeah,
that'd be like $130 now or something.
Oh, more like $3.
Maybe what?
Maybe even more than that, man.
Like $300 now.
Maybe like $300 now. Yeah,
Jesus.
Maybe somewhere between 3 and 5 if my inflation calculators. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how bad it's gotten.
Crazy.
Because before that, the only thing you had for home videos, if you were lucky enough to get either a 35 millimeter or 16 millimeter print, or you got lucky if you'd get the 8 millimeter little segments of films. And sometimes you get enough to put together most of the movie. But they wouldn't have sound on them a lot of times on the 8 millimeter ones.
Then we can make our own.
People did, especially with like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and that shit, man. Like,
oh yeah,
there's like 30, 40-minute versions of those films that were cobbled together from the 8 millimeter reels that they put out. They would just put out like little segments of the movie. It was just kind of like, that was just how we had it back then. We didn't really know any other way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
In fact, I think the funny thing was I think Star Wars was actually on television before it hit video. Because I think it was on television just before or just after the release or just before the home video release. One of the two of Return of the Jedi. Trying to remember. But yeah, E.T. was another one. Like I said, didn't come out to video until 88. 326. Yeah. See, I was pretty goddamn close. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of like stuff that's gone on with like movies and stuff. You know, it's
anyway. We're on your. Did we do your pick, Greg? Or we?
Oh no, it's my last pick.
This is the last one. Yeah, I never really thought about
Well,
That-
and
that-
I
that
brought
in-depth
this
stuff
even though I
about
didn't
movie
watch it.
releases
I'll
in
do it now
theaters.
since I actually thought I literally
Okay.
thought Rookie was going to talk about Friday the 13th, so I went and grabbed this.
Okay.
Whoops. If you know what that is.
Yes, part 2.
Nice.
Yes. So I did check it. They do have the Flash in it. They fixed that.
Nice.
And it looks pretty good from what I skimmed through. So
That's
the only
cool.
complaint I have, they don't have
Okay.
the original mono track on here.
Oh,
They only have the 5.1 mix from the old Blu-rays.
Nice. Well,
it's always nice to have the original track mix. As we
So
learned,
if
within
anybody from Paramount just happens to be listening, quit that. Everybody quit that. Put the original fucking soundtracks on there too.
as we
Because
learned,
I'm hoping to God they fix Nightmare on Elm Street because I didn't even know it was as bad as it was.
yeah,
I
that's
knew
what
it
I
was
about to
missing
say.
a few music cues. Because I even noticed the one when Rob grabs her.
Yeah,
Like that one's one of the first ones I noticed ever. And then I noticed like one other one somewhere and I can't remember where it was now.
I
but-
noticed when to pull her through her
Yeah.
mom through the thing. I noticed that because the last time I was watching, I was like, wasn't there a sound supposed to be there when he pulls her in? So
Yeah.
I did notice that.
So for those who don't know what the hell we're fucking talking about, Nightmare on Elm Street has had a fucked up soundtrack for the last 20 years.
Mhm.
And they haven't fixed it. And they didn't fix it on the Blu-ray, so hopefully they fix it now that they've done a new Dolby Atmos soundtrack and they didn't just fucking upconvert the 5.1. Because otherwise, if that's the case, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
Because even the old Elite stereo surround track was better than their 5.1 mix, even without fucking things up, in my opinion.
mm-hmm. But it's good to know that it looks good on the 4K. Part 2 does.
Yeah, so far from what I've seen, it looked pretty good. Of course,
Cool.
this one they had more money.
Yeah.
So, like, so that's the thing where everybody's always like, the first one was so dark. I'm like, I didn't have a problem with it being dark. You just turn your brightness up a little bit or whatever. It's more of a
yeah, it
Dolby
looks fine.
Vision
It looks,
thing.
looks fine on mine
Yeah.
anyway, just in general. And
But-
changing settings look good.
But you got the Shout Factory one, so that one is calibrated fine.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay. Cool.
they did fuck up on the first one. They missed the flashes before and after the credits. So this one they got it right finally. So
Yeah.
they still haven't gone back and fixed the first one though.
Yeah. So I don't think they ever will. So I think, you might you might have to just deal with it, I guess.
It's just stupid.
It is. It's stupid. Speaking of which, that I don't know if you saw this, Tom, but the makers of Never Sleep Again and the Friday the 13th documentary are making a Child's Play one,
Interesting. No, I didn't. That's
but it's going to
interesting.
be on Shudder.
Cool.
And I think it's going to be a multi-part, just like that. It's going to be a
Nice.
multi-part series for Shudder. So they're making one on Child's Play. So I didn't know if you knew that or not. I saw that today from Bloody Disgusting. They said that. So yeah,
Can't wait.
there you go.
Can't say I was really heartbroken in hearing that Chucky got canceled.
Me neither. I mean, I know that there's like they're moving on to other things or stuff, but I mean, let's be honest here. How many people were actually watching that? Because it didn't seem like after the first season aired. It seemed like after the first season aired, it kind of like dipped off to season 2 and 3. So
I feel like there's only so much you can do with the premise.
I mean, it seemed like everybody was talking about the first season there for a while, and then it kind of just faded away. So that leads me to believe it couldn't have been that watched by a whole lot of people. So I don't know. So, anyways, if no more final words on Friday 13th, Tom.
No, I just wanted to bring it up quick because I had it sitting here.
I'll resume
Rookie
watching them
fucked with me.
within this month for sure. But I'm debating because I still need to finish Elm Street, the last 3. I'm halfway through the Friday movies, but I should. You guys are probably going to bring Halloween on one of these days in October, and I haven't seen any of those officially.
We brought on.
So, I don't know if I
We've
can start
talked
any
the
of those.
Halloween movies for the last 2 or 3 years on the show because Scream Factory, Shout Factory released them years back, all of them on 4K. So we've brought them on all already. So
Right.
So yeah, but I'm sure one of them's bound to show up this year.
Mhm.
More than one of them. So
Chat, just put it in the chat, everybody. Do you want me to finish Elm Street and Friday before I start Halloween, or start Halloween and have the rest to finish all
You
around?
start Halloween, we're fucked.
yeah,
Do you realize how many different branches there are?
I only watched one movie out of that 30 pack because then I moved on to Friday and Elm Street. And I watched all Harry Potter. That's all done. But
that's your own goddamn fault.
Yeah, that's your own fault of sidetracking yourself there.
Yeah, but hey, I got that done. I got that done though. That I'm not dragging that out every week. So,
all right, well, what you got for us, Greg?
Okay. I watched because I'm in my mood and I kind of like to start with these type of movies when I get into Halloween. But I watched The Thing from Another World from Howard Hawks, starring James Arness as as the Thing. So, yes, the original Thing, Rook, that John Carpenter's The Thing is not technically a remake of this. It's actually more based on the novel.
Right,
So
but there was a Thing movie that came before the 80s one.
This is it. Thing from Another World.
That Thing came first.
This is the original The Thing.
Yes.
The Thing from Another World. This is the original.
Yes.
Yes. It's a good old school black and white movie. I mean, you can see the scenes that very much inspired John Carpenter. It's basically, you got to be honest, I love the optimism and the faith that this military and this journalist have in our government and journalism to report the truth of a flying saucer in an alien battle up in Antarctica. I love the optimism they have. Like, this guy's a journalist and we're just going to let him tell the story to the world. And, we trust our government to get it out there. So I love the optimism of back in the day of how that was, people actually trust the world they lived in, which is not, not today's day and age. But no, it's basically the Air Force is alerted up to Antarctica, because there's a flying saucer had crashed. Something has crashed. They don't know it's a flying saucer right at first, but there's, that's sort of why they're sent up there. So the Air Force goes up there. They meet with the scientists. They walk out and they do the scene just like you see in the Thing when they're watching the tape where they do stand in circle around it and discovers the thing, and they dig it up. They accidentally actually blow up the spacecraft, and he's frozen in the block of ice, and they take him back, and he gets out, and they're stuck in this area, and he's out there, and it's very different than John Carpenter's Thing, but you can see his inspiration from this movie because he does give a lot of nods to this movie in his movie, but it's a vastly different story. His is than this. And like I said, it's more based on the novel Who Goes There. Yes, that's the novel Who Goes There. But no, this is a good movie, and it's fun. It's it's got that old school black and white, like I said, like these type of movies like this remind me of Saturday morning or Saturday evening watching old black and white monster flicks and stuff. And that's why I like watching Svengoolie. If you guys watch Svengoolie on Saturday nights, it just reminds me of that. But yeah, so that's really all I got to say about that. I just was in the mood, and it was a good old fashioned black and white sci-fi classic that inspired an incredible movie. And James Arness, by the way, if you caught me, is Marshal Matt Dillon from Gunsmoke. He plays the Thing in this. So
wow,
yeah.
Are you guys of the mind of would it have been a better decision to not show that it is an alien craft first? Like if you discover that later?
No, I think you got to start off with that. I think that what's really creepy about it is an alien. It's like you got to start with that. Yeah, it's crashed a spaceship. It's alien. Yeah. But then when you get into discovering what it is, it's like that's not even what it looked like. So you don't know what it looks like because it's been traveling through space. It's already that the form it has, which makes it even scarier. Is like that's not its original form. It has come into something in contact that looked like that beforehand. So that's what makes it scary. So you got to have it's an
right.
alien.
I mean, I guess I feel like I think it'd be better to learn that it's from space later, as far as the mystery, like wondering what is this? Like you don't know what it. If you have a basis where you don't know what it's from, kind of like with the Predator. It's like if you just know it's an alien right away, I feel like that takes a little bit of mystery out of it. I'm not saying it ruins anything. I just think it takes a little bit of the mystery element out.
I don't think. I think the mystery mystery is what that works. I think even if it is that it's a spaceship of crash, but you still don't know what it is. Like I said, you don't know what it is. You don't know what it originally looked like. You don't know where it came from. You don't really know.
Well, right, but it's like you know that it came from space
space.
rather than anything from Earth, like anything from Earth.
I think you got to know that from the start. I personally do, because the mystery is still like, what is this?
Well, I'm saying I'd be curious to, like, if there's a test audience of people that haven't seen the thing and have half watch it with the knowing it's a space thing first and 1 second and see the differences in reception. If it changes anything, it might not even affect either at all. Like, as far as I can tell, because it's such a minor. To me, it's a minor thing compared to the rest of the whole movie.
I don't know. I get where you're coming from, but I think you have to know it's from outer space first. I think you have to know it, because I mean, it's pretty much that's where everybody's mind's going to go in the first place. As they see it, well, it's an alien. That's where they're going to go. So you might as well just say, okay, yes, it did come from outer space, but what is this alien? Where did it come from? What did it originally look like? Why is it truly here? What was it actually doing? That's the mystery. It doesn't matter that they shut the spaceship and that it's crashing. It's a UFO.
I guess I'm just saying I don't know. I'd be curious to know what, like, the difference in reception for people not seeing it either way. I think that'd be interesting if it affects it much or not.
I don't know. But yeah, that was my last pick. That's what I had. The Thing. It's original. I love it. I don't think it's as good as Carpenter's, but I think it's a damn good movie. I love.
Doesn't that have a commentary with Carpenter on it?
This one? No, actually, I think this is bare bones. I think it's just got like a trailer. I think that's all it's got.
Oh, okay.
This is from the Warner Brother Archive collection.
Yeah, I was trying to say. I thought it was that one. I thought he did a commentary on an older film.
Maybe it is this one. Didn't we talk about this before? I'd have to put it.
Or maybe. Oh no, it's The Searchers. That's the one I'm thinking of. Maybe.
Oh, The Searchers.
That might be the one I'm thinking of.
I could have sworn Mike gave us a commentary where they talk, or Carpenter talks with this one. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, this is. I think you should give this one a watch, Rook, if you ever do. It's great. It's good.
Yeah, I plan to. In fact, like all the movies, all those '80s ones that I watched last year, The Blob, The Fly, The Thing, those all have ones that came out prior, right? Like original versions.
Yes.
I don't know I don't think I'll be able to do that this year because I'm
I'm
knocking out the big franchises this year.
Yeah.
For the most part. Next year, I think I'll want to target those original ones for around Halloween.
And there's women in this one. There's women.
Females. What?
Yes, females. It's not just a group of men stuck on the.
No, so it's gonna be worse. No, just kidding.
No, there's like two women, and one of them is the love interest to the main character. Yeah. So,
nice.
But no, yeah. Which in reality, honest to God, that's one of the reasons why it works so well with the John Carpenter is there's no way they would let women actually go up to Antarctica with these dudes in this.
Yeah,
because
there's a lot of scenarios.
It would not end well.
No.
It would not end well.
Not likely.
Yeah, not likely. But no, there's like two women in this, and the one woman is the main woman. She's like
we revert to cavemen, man.
Yeah, she's the lead character's like love interest. So
okay.
But no, it's a solid movie. I like it. I'm a huge, as if you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of like old black and white sci-fi horror movies. I absolutely love them.
Well, so I think I'll change what I say. So for the original one, what year was the original one?
The original Thing.
Yeah,
54.
Yeah, like
I think for that time, for that time period specifically. Like that's great time period for alien stuff, right?
Oh, that's when everybody was worried about all that.
So in terms of the time of that release, I think that makes sense for that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and you should watch that too. The Invaders from Mars remake from the 80s.
Invaders from Mars. Yeah, I haven't seen any. Oddly enough, I haven't seen any Mars related movies really. Like I've seen The Martian. I haven't seen many movies that take place on Mars or Invaders from Mars, like aliens from Mars. Either
the Invaders from Mars,
like
the
space
Asian remake
stuff,
is
though.
great. Yeah, I think you might like that one. That's great. That's another one of those, like, maybe not as good as the Blob and the Fly and the Thing.
Right. I mean, I realized that I
him.
realized that I saw like the golden top tier ones first, essentially. So
I mean,
I'm not gonna always get those.
The Invaders from a good 80s remake. I would put it up there with them, but I wouldn't put it like the Fly, the Thing, and the Blob are probably better than it. But the Invaders from Mars remake is just as good as a movie. If you get what I'm saying.
Right.
It's just as good. I love it. It's a good movie. It's a little hard to find on a physical copy. So good luck with that. It's out of print, I think, on both.
I'll probably just find a digital way to watch it, but I gotta correct.
It's pretty cheap.
I gotta calm the people in the chat. No, I've seen Total Recall. I guess I don't particularly view Total Recall as like being on Mars because it's like a human society on Mars that is pretty much just
you gotta get your ass to Mars.
One. Like, I guess, okay, if we're going on, like, okay, I've seen Doom. That's also on
the
Mars,
Martians
but
are
like
nothing like you would see on Mars.
I guess when I say Mars, I meant like with involving alien stuff specifically. Is what I'm thinking of. Not, I've seen movies that take place on Mars, but they're usually not, not too great, I guess. But I guess if I thought about it longer, maybe I have seen some. But anyway, Invaders from Mars, you said. Gotcha.
Yeah, the 80s remake.
The 80s remake, faux show.
Too,
oh yeah, I just bought while we were talking. I bought Galaxy Quest, guys. That was recommended again because Alan Rickman earlier. And so, and it will arrive tomorrow. I will watch.
It's coming on 4K
tomorrow.
Yeah, you should have waited. It's coming on 4K.
No, but I can't play 4K. Remember, like my
but me and Tom will probably have the 4K, so we could also
shut up, Tam. Well, no, I'll have it. I'll watch it, and I could bring that on whenever you.
He could have got a digital movie, but he was slow to the jump. It's his fault. Sony rained a couple of digital copies of Body Double on me, and he missed out. It's his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I'll survive.
That's a sexy movie, my friend.
I shall survive.
Well, Mikey usually gets my digital copies. So.
Yeah,
Mikey being Mexican Iron Man.
So. But yeah, there you go. That was it. That's my last pick of the night. I was planning on actually have a little more this week, but I didn't have electricity for 3 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I got one more, though.
You got one more? Okay, go ahead.
You were going to say something else, though.
No, I find it funny up here in Ohio, we got clipped, right?
I know. I couldn't believe it when you said it either. I'm like, really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm like at the bottom. I don't want to give too much away, but it got clipped, and 3 days without electric. But I feel bad.
Could have been worse, but wow.
Yeah, I feel bad for all those in North Carolina.
Right.
It's horrible from what I've heard.
So I of course had to keep going, and
nice.
I recently picked up. I mean, not recently, but
I was going to be.
I used to have the old version of this, but I got the newer Steelbook, and it's nice looking. Actually, nothing really on the inside, really, but got the.
I like the back of it.
Yeah, it's actually one of the better looking ones. And no, the movie looks great, sounds great. Sony actually gives you all the different audio options, Hint,
nice.
hint.
Yes. Yeah.
No, this is actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Dracula adaptation. Speaking of adaptations, as we were with The Thing and whatnot.
Yes.
It was one of those movies where when I saw it in the theater, I was like, what the fuck? But then as I got older and it grew on me, it's a badass film.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like we've talked about before, where it's like, as a kid, it's not something you would see. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something you would expect, but when you get older, you understand it. You see it more and you get it. Because, like, we all saw it when we were younger, which probably wasn't the best for us to see. Like, you mentioned your story about going to the theater to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, as I said, I know we've talked about it enough times now to where we don't have to really dig too deep into it, but no, it looks good. I can recommend it. The Dolby Vision is a little bit of an upgrade, not like massive, but this is one of those movies that was shot on film with a lot of different techniques. In some cases, some that weren't even being utilized anymore, like double exposing the negative and such. So it's just one of those movies that came out at a time when digital effects were starting to come into being, and shot all on sets, and just it's a movie celebrating making movies at the same time in a way.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, didn't Francis Ford, that's who directed, right? Francis Ford Coppola?
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted the movie to look different than any movie. And so he like employed a bunch of different techniques that had never been used before. Isn't that what he's like to try to
Actually,
make
a lot
it
of it's
different?
stuff that hadn't been used in a long time. Because like a lot of the special, like even in the script itself, there was like sequences written out where, it'd all be a special effects sequence. Like for instance, when Jonathan's leaving England, you go into a peacock feather, into a tunnel of a train tunnel, out of the train tunnel, into a train riding on this journal while you got Dracula's eye. Like this, all this shit that goes into the shot and the levels of what they were doing, and it all being done either in camera or with miniatures or with very few optical effects and no digital effects. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a masterful employment of makeup and costume and design and old school effects being used in ways that they hadn't been used in many, 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 many years. And stuff that the studios wouldn't normally do anymore, just because, it's so like some of that you fuck up and you fucked up. So you gotta start over.
Yeah.
So like, and there's no second takes on it. And the negatives being used, like, so and it looks brilliant for that fact. Like there's very few shots that are second or third generation shots here. You got a lot of it that looks so amazing. And it even adds to the level of reality to the effects, because they're almost all in camera right there. I mean, actually they are all in camera technically.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do have some rear projection and a rear projection that utilizes like an optical and a few other things, but like, just a few things here and there, but it's very sparsely used. And the sets are really kind of really subdued, and the costumes are amped up. And like you said, I think what you're kind of talking about more so is like the lady who did the costume design had never seen any of the other Dracula films.
Right.
So he wanted a completely fresh look as far as, Dracula goes, and the costuming and all that business outside of her historical obvious, she knew stuff historically, but she'd never seen any other Draculas. So she wasn't coming to this with a preconceived notion of, Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. And it helps.
This was before the internet too. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what about his red armor suit in the beginning?
And that's one of the more striking, things, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
And honestly, the funny thing is I think the one thing that kind of held this film down for years now it's definitely beloved more so than it was when it came out. It did do very well at the box office.
Yeah.
We did the math earlier. It's still the highest grossing vampire film of all time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people really realize how this movie impacted vampires going forward. You may not think about it so much, but like, it's kind of responsible for the sexy emo goth vampire shit that we get now. It all kind of goes right back to this movie, because before this movie, it was like, it wasn't so much. I mean, yes, there was kind of a love story element to Dracula, but it wasn't like on this level. And I'll get to that story a little bit. But it's funny because Keanu Reeves, to me, is probably one of the biggest problems with the film. As much as I love him, and he's a wonderful person, and he's a great actor, he drugged this movie down, and it's the studio's fault.
Yeah, I think he's even admitted it himself.
Yeah, and it's not his fault at all. It's because he was completely miscast, and it was because the studio at the last minute got cold feet on the original casting decision. And I don't know if anybody else here knows who originally was cast as Jonathan Harker.
I wanted to say somebody, but I can't. I don't.
Johnny Depp.
Okay,
Can you
that's
imagine how much better this movie had been had
Yeah, that
Johnny
would've been-
Depp been playing Jonathan?
Yeah, that would have been.
Well, and that's what pissed Winona Ryder off because they were dating at the time. And I think that was part of her deal with doing this whole thing because her and Francis had a falling out after Godfather 3 because she was supposed to be in Godfather 3. She had gotten toasted with so much work. And I think that was one of her first breakdowns she had.
Mhm.
And so she had to drop out of Godfather 3. So they kind of had a bit of bad blood there. But when this Dracula thing came across her desk, she thought the first person she thought it was Francis, and Francis lit up because he's like, Dracula. I love Dracula. I've read the novel like 30 times.
Yeah.
Because he used to read it every year to when it was a camp counselor, he'd read it to the boys' cabin before they go to bed. He'd read a chapter every night. So for a few summers in a row, he read Dracula constantly. So like he was very, very well versed in it. Not only that, he was so well versed in it that he knew a lot about Vlad the Impaler. So he really wanted to combine those two stories, and he did it brilliantly. But then. So Keanu is the lead because the studio's like, well, we don't know if this Johnny Depp, he's on 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
You got to remember, he hadn't really done all this stuff.
Yeah.
And most people forget that Johnny Depp wasn't really a big star until Pirates of the Caribbean, too. That's the other thing most people forget.
Off for a while.
No, he was that weirdo that was in all the Tim Burton movies all the time. That's basically what he was known as, except for the people like me who had been following him since back in the Nightmare on Elm Street days and such.
Yeah.
So like to me, he was top of my list.
Me too. Like I knew him too because like
but knowing now that we could have got a Dracula with him in it, I'm like, you fuckers.
Yeah, that would have been great. It would have been better than Keanu. It would.
Doesn't he play a vampire in a movie in the last like 20 years?
He was in the Shadows movie. Yeah.
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 Okay. I mean, they cast him eventually.
No, that wasn't.
No, well, he would have played. He would have been perfect age. He could do a British accent. I mean, basically, he'd been playing the part that he plays in Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
yeah.
That's really what it is. It's just the same part almost. Like, so we know he can do it. That's that's the only thing that drags this movie. Because you got Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman giving the performances of a lifetime. I almost dare to say that this Anthony Hopkins almost tops his Hannibal in this, because I didn't realize how much he brought to the table in this, and it makes sense now watching it because it is the most different Van Helsing we got up until fucking Hugh Jackman, basically.
Yeah.
Because he is, because normally, he's more reserved, whatever. But like, I don't know what set Hopkins off, but he must have got the idea because of what the kind of doctor he was. He's like, well, this guy would be a fucking nut.
Yeah.
Like, a few crackers short of some soup, right? Like, I mean, this guy is a little off his rocker, but he's not wrong. See, there's the difference. So like, I love what Anthony brought to the table, and a lot of the shit that he's doing in the movie is stuff that he improvised during rehearsals. Even like there's this one scene, I don't think you've ever seen it, Rook, by the way, you're not really talking about it. Like when he first meets Mina, which would be Winona Ryder's character, who's probably the second biggest problem with the film, but she's not as bad. I mean, she's serviceable enough, right? Like she's okay. She's fine. Had she had a stronger male actor against her, she might not have been as good. But her and Johnny, I know they had chemistry, so whatever. I don't think it would have been a problem.
That helps that Winona looks pretty good in this one, so
I think that's what kind of leads to the problem with the film overall, which I was getting to.
Okay.
But so like, or what happened to the movie, I guess we should say. So where was I exactly? I don't even remember now.
Anthony Hopkins and
Anthony Hopkins,
performance.
Gary the greatest. Like they're awesome in the fucking movie, but you got Keanu Reeves on the other side. Well, so the movie gets finished because Francis wanted to prove that he could make a movie on budget, on time for a studio, because he was known as the guy who made The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and all these other films that ended up becoming bloated, big, productions.
Yeah.
So all this film is shot on stages. So that was one thing. Plus, he also said, I ain't going to Dracula's castle. It's like the last thing I fucking need is I'm sitting there by myself trying to get a shot set up in the middle of the night and some bitch comes behind me.
Yeah. Right.
But if anything, I feel like he was blessed by Dracula, because this movie being held together the way it is, because story, it goes from the brilliance of connecting Vlad to Dracula, having this, lost love being a big part of why he, renounces God. And that's what made him a vampire to begin with. I love that whole thing. And then you have, her, of course, she's going to look just like his Elizabeth, right? And then in this movie, what you have happen is the original story goes, just like the book, the guys go in, they kill Dracula, end of movie. Mina's story ends about 2/3 of the way into the story. At that point, the guys take over and they go after Dracula, right?
Right.
She's just kind of under his spell. Well, so they do a test screening of the film. Francis is proud of himself. Everything seemed to go without a hitch for the most part, except for Gary Oldman being a little drunk. And him and Winona Ryder not getting along by the end of the film, famously.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say a little drunk, I mean really drunk.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he still turned in a performance of a fucking lifetime. And I think he's even said that it's one of his favorite performances he's ever done. Because he added so much to that. Like, everybody was allowed as an actor to add so much to this, because Francis had the stipulation up front. He's like, I put as much of the book as I felt was needed into this script. But if you guys find anything else, because he gave everybody copies of the book at the first script reading, and they all read the book first before they read the script. And then they did a couple weeks of rehearsals. So anyway, so he's like, if you find anything in the book that is not there for your character, come tell me and we'll put it in. So he gave everybody kind of carte blanche to present to him ideas. And of course, Gary Oldman comes back with like 3 extra fucking changes to his character throughout the film. He already had 3, so that adds 6 altogether. So if you watch the movie, there is 6 different makeups for Dracula. You have old man, you have decrepit old man, you have the bat, you have the wolf, and you have the young Dracula, and then there's another one I'm missing. Oh, the one when he's crying, where he's kind of a combo cat, wolf, bat thing.
Yeah.
So there's the 6. Plus the mist. If you want to count that, even though Gary's not playing the mist, I don't think.
Yeah.
He could be. He's that good.
Yes, he is.
And that's where I found out Anthony Hopkins added all this shit, the humping of fucking and the dance with Winona Ryder and he comes up and smells her and shit. Like, that's a great fucking scene.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys really even know what's going on in that scene. I know Rook's never seen it, but like, because he comes up and he goes, "You must be Mina," and he just swings around and starts dancing with her, and then they dead stop. And he just kind of gets real close and takes a breath like that, and you can just see it come over his face, and he knows she's been with him.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Yeah.
And then he kind of tells her this line, like, "You're the light." So I can't remember the exact line, but it's a great fucking line. And, basically telling her, be careful, you're stepping away from the light, kind of thing, basically.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like nutty with this. So then the movie, they got it all together. The ending is, as the book ends, the guys go and kill Dracula. They even do the whole lining of the coffin and everything like that. They kill, Anthony Hopkins' character, Jesus Christ. Van Helsing kills the brides and all that shit. So it all ends just like the book ends. Well, so the test audience liked the movie for the most part, but they didn't like how it ended. Because they didn't like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Which is hard to say now, nowadays.
They didn't like, it's not so much that they didn't like Keanu Reeves, they just didn't like Jonathan Harker's character. And they didn't like him and her ending up together at the end. They didn't like that. They just didn't think it rang true to what was going on. And Francis started panicking, didn't know what to do. So he calls in the original writer that he worked with and Mike Mignola, who was working on the comic book adaptation for Topps. And has the writer see the film. I think Mike had already seen the film, so he didn't watch it with him. But the writer, and I just recently found this out because the writer had done an interview with some YouTuber. And he's like, so Francis brings me in, and he's got like 3 Romanian girls sitting behind me. I don't think they spoke a lick of English. I don't even know why they're there. He goes, I think he just said it brought him in for atmosphere.
Yeah. They're good looking Romanian women.
He's just like, whatever. Because like Francis didn't even come to the screening with me. And nobody else was there but these 3 Romanian girls who, like I said, couldn't speak a lick of English. And he goes, so I watched the movie and I figured it out instantly what the problem was. So I went and talked to Francis. I said, well, here's your problem. He goes, you said everybody doesn't want those 2 to end up together at the end, right? He's like, yeah, well, that's because you went and made Dracula the hero.
Yeah.
And Dracula ain't supposed to be the hero.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the bad guy.
So Francis is like, well, what the fuck do we do? He's like, well, this is your solution. You basically got to reshoot it, the ending, and maybe fill in some other spots to where it's more of a choice of hers. And they actually kind of, in a weird way, end up together and basically make her the one to set him free.
Yeah.
That's how you make this work.
Yeah.
And Francis is like, how the fuck can I do that? I can't get these 2 in the same fucking room together. They hate each other.
Yeah. What do we do?
So he's like, oh, shit. So got a hold of Gary. Gary's all cool with it. No problems whatsoever. Winona was a different story. She didn't want to work with Gary again.
Right.
And so basically the way Francis talked her into it, she's like, well, you get to cut the fucker's head off. And she's like, all right, done.
Fine, I'll do it.
So yeah, the whole ending from the moment where that awkward line with Keanu Reeves where he's like, our work here is done. It's her time now. That is all reshot from there on out. And then I think, I'm not 100%, but I think all the shit sprinkled throughout where she's all like talking about her prince. And she's like, I can't tell Jonathan about my prince. I think that stuff was added to kind of add more of a romantic element to where it's more of her choice than it is her under his spell. And you even have, I don't know if they reshot the love scene or not, because I think that was in the original script that way. Because I even seen in the original rehearsals where he pushes her away and tells her no. You know, but then she's like, no, this is what I want. Yeah.
We're going to do this.
We're going to do this shit. Yeah.
We're going to get dirty.
I'm going to
you thought you suck
over that shit.
You thought you suck, Dracula. I'll show you what sucking is.
That's right.
Went too much, too far.
She sucked the life out of that dead man.
She brought him back to life and then killed him again. That's what she did. That's how good it was.
Well, what she did at the end then was set him free, right? Like,
yeah.
It really borrows more from Nosferatu, because that's the ending of Nosferatu, is that you know, the woman gives herself over freely, setting him free. You know, setting the whole end of the curse. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, but you're not wrong.
Anyway, I didn't expect to go on that long about it. But I did not know about. I mean, I did not know about all the reshoots.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know about all that.
And the
either.
Johnny Depp thing was also news to me as well.
That's
because I guess Winona was pissed.
Yeah, that's like a missed opportunity, big time.
She went to Francis and she's like, I thought you were Francis Ford Coppola.
Where's your stroke at?
I get that.
And he's like, what? And I think he probably could have fought a little harder for Johnny. But I think at that point, like I said, I think his whole thing was he was trying to play ball, trying to prove that he could make a movie on time, under budget, not be a pain in the ass to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for that factor, I think he would have fought for Johnny.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it was just, you know, like I said, it was just he didn't probably fight. That was all. It was like he really, because she's right. I mean, like, you're fucking Francis Ford Coppola. What the fuck?
Yeah, you could get Johnny Depp.
You got, and not only that, he could have made an argument like, look, we don't need a big name actor for Jonathan Harker. We've got Anthony Hopkins, just not, didn't he win for,
yeah, I think he had won.
Just won the Oscar, right? You got Gary Oldman, who's, you know, the coming of the, you know, like the guy who defines acting at this point, right? Like, I mean, you got all these other people in the film already. Cary Elwes is a strong character actor. Mm-hmm. You don't need a big name actor in that role. And Jonathan Harker's role is so minimal at the end of the day in this overall story once it starts going, right? Because he's there and then he's not for the longest time, and then he's back, and then he's, you know, it's kind of an ebb and flow into the story. So it's not, you got your more important parts. Anthony Hopkins is how you sell the movie at that point.
Yeah, it's like
he just won for fucking exactly. He just won for playing Hannibal, and that's what I remember. Everybody's like big thing about it is like, oh, of course, that's brilliant. You got him playing Van Helsing, duh.
Yeah.
Wait,
Exactly.
Keanu Reeves is what?
What?
And I mean, people had the same reaction to fucking her as fucking in the movie too as Mina, because it's like, can she do a British accent?
The chick from Beetlejuice?
The chick from Beetlejuice, yeah.
But you're not wrong though. This movie did bring about the stereotype of the romantic vampire who gets the woman and everything. So yeah.
And it brought a lot of firsts from Dracula that hadn't been really brought to the screen before. Some of them more subtly, but not so much. But like the idea of Dracula going from, you know, the old man to the younger version of himself. Like I brought up last week, they touched. That's the only other time I've seen him do that is in the 1970 Christopher Lee Franco Dracula, where they literally just have him with gray hair and a gray beard. Yeah. And then later on, he's got black hair. So, like, that's the only change.
His hair.
And yes, this does have the baby scene in it. I forgot. It does have the baby scene in it. Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Well, I guess on that note.
No, Rook, you should see this movie, though. This is a movie for film lovers.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one.
I mean, it's one of those movies where it's one big, fat, juicy piece of pizza for film lovers, or a big, fat, juicy steak, or whatever you want to call it, whatever your, you know, piece of resistance is.
Sounds delicious.
Like, it's just chewy and succulent. Like, I mean, it just floods your senses. It's a beautifully shot, you know, everything about it is, except for Keanu Reeves, is pretty much pitch perfect, right? Like, you can't, if you nowadays, like, especially after all the stuff that's been influenced by this, I think you'll appreciate this more seeing it now than we did when it first came out. Because I think at that point is like, it almost felt like the first time you're hearing a band that you've loved for a long time. I got to imagine what it was like for some people hearing Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club for the first time. I don't know, Rook's like, what? Or The Wall or something like that. You know, some seminal album that was a little different than they had ever done before, and you're not quite sure if you like it at first or not. But then all of a sudden it grows on you and maybe even becomes your favorite, you know?
Yeah.
And then becomes even more appreciated down the road, right?
Big time, yeah.
Then anyway, we've drugged this out to 3 hours. I'm creeping you out, Joey. How am I creeping you out?
You're creeping him out. All right. Well, on that note, guys, I appreciate you guys for hanging with us as always. Great picks tonight, other than the Harry Potters, apparently. I'm sorry, Rook. I just had to say that. That was funny.
Oh, I got to answer one question. Ron, the Dolby Atmos mix is amazing. It's actually better than you would think. Because one thing a lot of these modern mixes do is they'll try to kill noise. And what they think is noise is actually atmospheric stuff that was put in there on purpose. And then like all that goes away sometimes. This movie actually amps a lot of that up. There's stuff that I'm hearing that is very, very subtle in the 2.0 mix. In this, you're hearing it in almost like a completely different way in this this new Atmos mix. Well, newer Atmos mix.
Yeah. All right, well.
A great example is that scene where the guys are all standing in the cemetery with Anthony Hopkins, and he pulls the little, disappearing act on him.
Oh yeah.
In the original 2.0 mix, it just kind of disperses his voice out to the surround speakers. There's no real direction to it. Now in the Atmos mix, not only is all the atmospherics raised, when he starts moving around, they literally use like it kind of goes around the room. He goes from like right to left to behind you and around a little bit to where you're like, where the fuck do you go?
Yeah. That's good. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Rook. Thank you, everybody in the chat that hung with us. Everybody at home watching, I appreciate you guys. Always support physical media because it really is superior format. You have to go home, but can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.